Does anyone know why I'm here? Has anyone been told anything?
Mojo.
Mojo. Mojo, that's all you know. that you're going to have more mojo. Well, hopefully you'll have more mojo. Okay. Well, I've been friends with Jamie for a fair few years now, and my background's in the health industry, and he's been sort of plugging away about getting me to come and do something for health, maybe a little bit of mindset stuff. My background, I started off, I won't get too deep into my story. If you want to come and hear that, come to a live event. But my background, just quickly, at 15 I was suicidal, had depression, anxiety, a whole heap of other things. I had learning difficulties at school. I was told that I was dyslexic. Actually, this year's goal is to relearn how to spell, so I'm doing that. So if I write any funky shit on the board and you're not too sure what it is, just go with it, okay? Or get someone else just come up and rub it out and write what it's supposed to be. So I had learning difficulties at school, ADD, which I found out ADD's only really ADD, and it's supposedly a bad thing in society because you have too much energy and everyone else around you is boring, okay? So I had that. I grew up and I had, around 2021, I was working in the personal training industry and ended up with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue because I had this great ward, I would call a great body, six-pack, big chest, but I felt like shit on the inside, which is how most personal trainers feel these days. So I started exploring other areas as well. I was training some of the top athletes in the state in South Australia, which is where I'm from. And I got into some of Paul Chek's work. Does anyone know Paul Chek or heard of Paul Chek?
Yeah.
Yep. So I started studying some of his work and then got into high performance kinesiology, nutritional medicine, kept studying, kept helping clients, and I was doing a lot of rehab at the time, like physical rehab with clients. Got into energy medicine, then did NLP hypnotherapy and went down that stream as well. And then for some reason, corporate business leaders came along and they started saying, well, we need to improve the energy of our staff. And over that time, I'd overcome chronic fatigue and all the rest of the crap that was going on. And then friends started telling me that I had too much energy. And some of the blokes just started calling me the Mojo Man. And it sort of stuck. And then my branding for seminars and events that I was doing, because I was speaking with a whole heap of gyms, just became about MojoMaster. And it's interesting because when I go into the corporate industry, I always get one of those, the high roller guys in the $20,000 or $10,000 suit with a $100,000 watch on. They come up and they go, so you're the Mojo bloke, right? Like, what are you coming to talk about? Is it like, you're doing, it's like, no, I'm pretty sure your staff don't need to know that stuff. Okay, so I always get that. But Mojo isn't really about that. When I started studying what Mojo really meant before I went with the branding, this is what it's all about. It's about finding the magic in what we do. So I'm assuming every one of us wants to find a little bit more magic in what we do. Also as well, if you have a look, it's an African folklore and it's a magic charm that in certain tribes in Africa, they'd wear this certain bag on the side of their hip and it would have some herbs, different stones, different rocks, crystals and so on, and it was supposed to ward off evil spirits or negative energy and bring in good luck. Now I'm assuming that all of us want to get rid of some of the negative energy out of our life and bring back in more positive energy. So I thought this stuff really sticks with me. I like it, so I'm going to keep it, and that's the way that it's gone. So Mojo has nothing to do with getting funky with it, like Austin Powers sort of makes people believe. Well, you can go down that path if you want, but but yeah, so that's really what it's all about. So who's excited? Who wants just a little bit more mojo? Yeah. Who reckons you could have a little bit more mojo? What would life be like if you had a little bit more mojo, not in just one area, but all areas of life? Because I believe that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you just become naturally someone who loves growth, who loves growing, who loves learning about a few different areas of life, you can implement those same strategies. What I've also found as well is that some of the most successful people have great success in one or two areas of their life. Like some of the athletes that I've worked with have been world champions, and they have a set strategy that they follow or a set psychological pattern that they follow to become world champion athletes, but they don't implement that same strategy in their relationships, or they don't implement it with money. So some of them earn amazing money. Some of the AFL footballers I work with earn pretty good money as a job or a wage. But normally after their football careers are over, they have nothing. And it's just because they don't implement the same strategy and the same learning that they use to be successful in football as they do in other areas of life. Normally their relationships, because a lot of them who come and see me have really bad relationships, and also money and finance. So I think that if we can find the key strategies or the way to have mojo in a couple of different areas and make it conscious, then we can unconsciously repattern that in certain other areas of life. But today I'm here to talk a little bit more about health, because I thought if I'm coming into 21C and doing some work, you probably, or most of you are probably seminar junkies, or you've been around seminars for a long, long time. I thought I want to come in and do something a little bit different, something that hopefully makes you think outside of the square. And health's one of those things that in this day and age, seems that there's just so much information out there. We're in the information age, but there's so much shit information out there, especially in this day and age when you can buy studies. I have so many people, especially people who have spent 4 or 5 years getting their degree, and this is what I love about Jamie's stuff as well. With Jamie, you know how he always talks about, you know, you got to be doing it to really be able to teach it or to really be able to understand something. And there's so many people out there. Like I used to work in a medical centre, and I'd go to the medical centre, and in there there'd be like, I mean, this would be a small waiting area. In the medical centre I worked at, it would probably be 3 times this size, and every day was chock-a-block first thing in the morning. And then all of a sudden this overweight, obese doctor would walk out and he'd go, John Smith, and he'd walk back into his office, and I'm thinking, shit, they're going to take health advice from that guy? Really? You got to be kidding me. And that's just the way that it was. And the nutritionists would argue with the naturopaths about who was right with health, and they would both sit there and argue with each other instead of getting together and saying, what do you know, what do you know, let's put it together and let's help people. Then the physios would come out and tell me how crap the chiros were, and the chiros would tell me how crap the physios are. And I'm sitting there thinking, but hang on, you've both got the same clients waiting outside of your office every day. You know, shouldn't you be putting your heads together to really try and help people? So they just didn't have that PhD in success. Is that what Jamie calls it, the PhD in results? They didn't have that. So in this day and age, there's so many people who are coming out with studies or they have great advice on health, but they're not healthy, which blows my mind. So I'm going to show you some of the key strategies that I've been able to find to improve health, to improve energy. My belief is that energy is really life, and health is vitality. So health's vitality, vitality equals life. The more energy we can have and the more vital we are, the better we feel about doing things, the more energy we have, and the more we can actually experience life. Because when you're tired, lethargic, run down, under the pump, which I'm assuming you all are at the moment, especially with work, then the more run down you become, the less your mind starts working. Then you get home and that puts pressure on your relationships. And then what do most people do when they get home from work?
Drink.
Or that. What else?
Sit down.
And do what? TV. In my seminars, consistently I have people say, yeah, but you know, I just get home and I'm exhausted. So I just want to switch off. And I say, switch off from what? Life? Because shouldn't we be living? Yeah. So we should be designing the life that we want, where we don't have to switch off. You want to stay engaged with life. And I truly believe that if we engage in everything we do, then we can be successful at anything and everything. Okay? So let's look at some of those key principles. Here we go. This is what I believe life's truly about. The first thing we need is a purpose, so a reason to exist. If I just skip forward. Our purpose is really, what do we want to do in life? Why do we exist? Why do we live? Why do we wake up every morning? So there's some of the questions I ask to my clients when they first come to me and I want to know about them. I can't help them with creating a mindset or creating health if they don't have a reason for it. So many people want great health and they understand health, but they don't know health. The difference between understanding and knowing is that you can go to university and understand, but you don't know something until you actually do it. Okay? So lots of people understand what health is. They understand how to make money, but they don't really know it until they're doing it. So I ask them, really, what do you want to do with your life? What's your life about? Why are you here? Why do you exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? How do you want to be remembered? So if you future pace to the end of time, how do you really want to be remembered? How do you want people to think about you? And what's going to be your impact on the world? Now, not everybody wants to stand up in front of people and speak. It doesn't have to be that sort of an impact. One of the ladies that I work with, or who works for me, she's just happy doing all the stuff in the back. She loves helping others by helping me, because I can get out there and do this sort of stuff, but she can manage all the back end side of things, and that's what she loves. She loves seeing people happy by putting together seminars or events or whatever else she's doing in the background. I don't know, because that stuff confuses me too much. Do you know, I had to change my flights once. Only once have I ever had to book flights. I booked the wrong damn time. So I spent $50 to change the flight, and I booked the same damn flight that I just changed. And then she ended up booking. She did the booking, okay? So some people's impact is just that way. Some people it's to have a family, you know, to be the best mother they can be. I think it was, does anyone remember what the Kennedy's mum's name was? I can't remember.
Jackie?
Was it, no, was Jackie the mum? I'm not sure, I can't remember. Or was she the wife?
She was the wife.
She's the wife, yeah. No, it was the mother of the Kennedys. All she wanted to do was to create leaders, she wanted her sons to become leaders. And that was her purpose in life, and she did a great job of that. Well, I think she did a great job of that anyway. So we've all got a purpose, we've all got a reason to exist. And if you find that, then you can align everything in life with that. Then you have a reason to have great health. So if we go back, that's the foundation. Then from there we can step up and we can have health and vitality. Because health and vitality is the energy. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So the number one key to health, which nobody talks about, is oxygen. It's the most important nutrient of the human body. But how often do you walk into a doctor's office, a physio clinic, or any health professional and they check your breathing? Probably 90 to 95% of the clients I've ever worked with who have musculoskeletal problems, who've had just any health issues, normally don't breathe properly. If you have a look at a baby, where do they breathe? Where do they breathe from? Yeah, through the stomach. If you have a look at most adults, especially, you know, the bodybuilder guy with a six-pack running down the beach, they hold all their stomach in like that and they breathe through their chest. But when you breathe through your chest, if you have a look at the physiology of what that means, if you take a deep breath in, what happens to your head, neck and shoulders? How many people line up at a physio or a doctor's office with neck tightness, shoulder problems, or upper back complaints, or even lower back complaints? If you don't fix the oxygen and the breathing or the way that somebody's breathing, then you just stay on that sort of roller coaster of going to the physio, going to the doctor, going to the chiropractor, getting all these adjustments, and it will last the rest of your life pretty much. If you change their breathing pattern and you teach people how to breathe properly through their stomach, not only does it change their posture and their physiology, but it will actually also change the way that their body detoxifies itself. Because every time you breathe and you breathe through your stomach, you massage all the internal organs, which creates more blood flow, and that creation of blood flow helps to detoxify organs and also helps in healing. And if you have a look at organs like the liver, our liver is the predominant energy producer in the body. So if you go out drinking and have a big bender, how do you feel? What's your energy like the next day? Pretty shit house. And it could be for 2 or 3 or 4 days after that. Also in Chinese medicine, because I started studying Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, I was sort of combining the best of the East and Western medicines, because I believe there's a little bit of truth in everything. And if you can find those little bits of truth in everything and combine them together, then you really find out what works. But in the liver also stores the emotion of anger and also happiness or love or kindness. And if you have a look, people who have an overworked liver with low energy, they'll normally go in stages where they have emotional bouts of anger, where this anger comes up from out of nowhere and it's like a spring. They suppress it for so long and then it shoots up and they go, holy shit, where did that come from? And all their friends and family go, wow, you just got angry for no real reason. And then they go back to being kind, where people take advantage of them, but it's because they're not combining anger with kindness to have a strength, to have a love with a strength, if that makes sense. So you can be loving and have strength and be able to say no, but some people, if they've got that issue, they will just have this emotional outburst of anger, and normally it's towards themselves as well. Where they'll stand in the mirror at night time, they'll go, you stupid idiot, why'd you let that person get away with that? And their mind goes crazy and starts unwinding. But if you look after the liver can combine those two emotions. Does anyone get into Chinese medicine here? Yeah? It's really, really cool. I never used to understand it, but now there's a lot of scientific research that's coming out to prove that meridian lines, the energy flow through the body is exactly what the Chinese have been teaching for thousands of years, which is really, really cool. A lot of my science mates who love to argue with me will always argue if it can't be proven by science, then it's not real. And the first thing that I do is just ask them how the pyramids were built. And that's pretty much stuffs them up straight away, because we still don't know. Okay, my belief is that it takes years for science to figure out how something works. You're either at the start of it, or you're one of those people who try to hold on to the old beliefs, the old psychology, the way things work. But they're probably the people as well who stop the advancement in medicine, in science, and so on. Any questions about oxygen and the importance of it? I'm going to get you all to stand up right now. Yes, it is going to be one of those interactive seminars where you are going to move. You're going to have to do something because remember, to know is to do. So I'm going to get you to pop your hands on your tummy and now close your eyes. And I'm going to get you to take a deep breath in, push your belly button right out as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, let your tummy drop towards your spine. Breathing in, let your stomach go out. You want 2/3 of the breath to come through your stomach and 1/3 through your chest only. And it should come from expansion, not lifting your chest up. And breathe out. Just take your time. Just practice. It's easy with your eyes closed. Breathing in through the stomach. And as you breathe out, your belly button draws in. And we're just going to do this for probably a minute and just see how you feel. If you're having trouble breathing through your stomach, you're either pregnant or you're bloated. And if you're bloated, that's inflammation of your internal organs. And now allow your shoulder muscles, your neck muscles all to just switch off and relax. Just try and keep your body as relaxed as you possibly can. Just keep moving through the stomach. Good. And now just opening your eyes. Did you feel a change in emotions just from breathing at all? Did anyone?
I feel a bit lightheaded.
Very good. Lightheaded, relaxed. Yeah. What?
All that.
All that. Do you know where you are? You didn't get too lightheaded. We haven't lost you. Fantastic. Anyone else feel anything different? Isn't it amazing that if you breathe, you may become lightheaded, but that's because you're actually getting enough oxygen through your body. You shouldn't be lightheaded if you're breathing properly all the time. But also as well, just breathing calms you down. Grab a seat. That's why at most offices, when I go there, what are people standing outside doing? Smoking. What do you do when you smoke? Breathe. So people go outside and they go, oh, I'm so relaxed. Smoking relaxes me. Does smoking really relax you? No, it's just so you get to breathe. Imagine walking outside and saying to your boss, you know what, I'm just going outside for 10 minutes just to take some deep breaths actually. The boss goes, get your ass back inside. But you can go, you know what, I'm going outside for a smoke. Oh, that's all right, yeah, go, you know, have your 5 minutes. But how cool would it be if we stopped having smoko breaks and we started having oxygen breaks? What would workplaces be like? People would be floating back in.
Is there actually an advantage to having oxygen, like as an additional amount of oxygen from?
Well, all I know is that there were a few. There's been heaps of studies done over the years on oxygen. I can't remember who. There were a couple of Nobel Peace Prize or Nobel Prize winners. But I remember if there's a 60% reduction in the amount of oxygen that enters your cells, it produces cancer. Okay, and this was proven. And whoever it was, I think in the 1930s or 1940s, it will come back to me later on, probably about 1 o'clock in the morning, and you'll have to give me a number and I'll just send you a message. It was this bloke. But yeah, so a 60% reduction showed that every time there was a 60% reduction in the cells of rats, they would develop cancer. But then if there was optimum oxygen, the cancer went away. All right, which doesn't surprise me because if you have a look at the statistics, I think in 1950 off the top of my head, now I could be wrong, but it's around about these statistics. I think in 1950 cancer was about 1 in 30 or 1 in 50. Okay, now I'll have to double check those statistics. If you want them, just shoot me a Facebook and I'll get the exact statistics for you. In 1980, it was 1 in 5. In 1990, it was, I think, 1 in 4. Sorry, every 5 years it changed. So 1980, I think, was 1 in 4. Then 1985 was 1 in 3 people would have cancer at some point in their life. 1990 was 1 in 2. And now it's over that. Okay.
I've heard it said that you can actually heal a lot of diseases by just fixing your breathing and doing stuff like that, and getting the right oxygen flow. So,
Yeah.
I have heard that before.
Well, it is the most important nutrient in the human body. So you can have all the vitamins and all the supplements you want, but if you're not breathing, you're just wasting your time.
So life expectancy has been increasing since that time as well. So could it be also the fact that, you know, the older you get, the more likely you are to get cancer?
No, I've done heaps of research into that stuff because I get asked at every seminar that I do. Someone always brings that up.
Yeah.
If you have a look at the statistics and you go back to places like India, China, some places like around the Greek islands or the Mediterranean, if you have a look, some of those places have a life expectancy over 100 on average. So it's not that we're living longer. There are places around the world that do have higher life expectancies than what we have now. It depends, and it depends on the lifestyle. If you go back to the English era or the English way of living, then yes, we have increased those life expectancies. Also, if you have a look, we don't pretty much just shit in the corner over there anymore, because that causes a lot of disease of just going to the toilet wherever you want, whereas now we've got a lot cleaner conditions. But life expectancy is actually going down now. So this is the first generation in history. The millennials are the first generation in history who have a life expectancy behind that of the English era. Normally, it supposedly steps up by 2 to 5 years every generation. Now it's going backwards the other way again.
Would that have to do with like obesity and our eating habits and all that?
Certainly does. Yep. Most of the food we eat these days is sprayed with chemicals. That affects the way we live. I mean, if you talk about organic food, like I eat predominantly an organic diet, and at first when I first started doing this like 7 or 8 years ago, people would come up and they're like, ooh, organic diet, like hippie weirdo. And it's like, hang on, but this is real food. Like back in my grandparents' day, real food was organic food. Like they'd plant the stuff in the backyard, they'd pull it out, they'd eat it. Or you could go to the shops and buy just normal food. It was called food. I can't believe that we title real food as being organic when we should just be titling real food as real food, and the other ones, like the apples that you buy that are sprayed with shit, they should just be called shit apples. Okay? Here, have you shit apples or have real apples? Okay? Does that make sense? Like, to me, this is common sense. I'm not an academic. Like, when I was at school, I pretty much failed everything. I got expelled from schools. I was a troublemaker because I didn't like following patterns. But what I found was that I could find patterns of success or things that worked, and that's why I was kicked out of schools, because I was a smart ass. I'd question everything. Also on that question there was a book written in the 1930s, I think it was, by a guy called Weston A. Price. Has anyone read Nutrition and Human Degeneration? No? Amazing book. What Weston A. Price did was he was a dentist, and he started realizing that people's teeth in America started falling out and they were starting to rot. Now, he'd traveled around the world, and he realized that a lot of the old skull fragments that you'd find, like, you know, old skulls, all had their teeth from thousands of years ago. Now, we didn't have dentists 1,000 years ago. How could the human race keep going if all our teeth were falling out and rotting all the time? So that something had to change. So he was a smart guy, he just found patterns. So he hopped on a boat and he went to every native culture he could possibly find around the world. He came to Australia, studied the Aboriginals, different Aboriginal cultures, went to India, went to New Zealand, went to the Pacific Islands, and he had a look at what it was that made them healthy and strong and vital. Now, every culture had a different life expectancy as well, depending on where they lived, how they lived. I mean, if you lived in the centre of Australia and you're an Aboriginal, your life expectancy wasn't that high. It was harsh. There wasn't a lot of food, and so on. So food's actually a thing as well that increases life expectancy, but it's also the thing that can reduce life expectancy as well, or the availability of food. So anyway, he travelled all around and he took all the dental records, and he found one thing in common, that everyone had a completely different diet. Have you ever noticed how some people can eat saturated fats and they feel amazing, and then other people eat saturated fats and they feel like crap? Some people eat carbohydrates and they feel like crap. Other people eat carbohydrates and they feel amazing. We all have a different background. I'm Northern European bloodlines, if you study blood typing. Blood typing is okay, but if you get a Northern European that comes to Australia, then your hormones change as well. So things are consistently changing with the human body. There's just too many variables to understand. But what Weston A. Price found was that every time white man came along and he built a train line, a road, or anything like that near a native culture, that all of a sudden their teeth started falling out and their craniofacial features started changing. So their jawline started shrinking, which meant their teeth started overlapping. Their noses started shrinking, which meant that they had more trouble getting in oxygen, and because of that, they would breathe through their upper body, which would change the way that their postural muscles work, the amount of injuries they have. And the book's full of these pictures. Like, there were two brothers in the Swiss Alps. One stayed back to work on the farm and ate a completely traditional diet. The other brother went and worked on the train line where they were food trading. because there was sugar and everything like that available. And I think it was about 6 years later, both the brothers came back and they were twins. Now they were identical when they left. When they came back, they looked completely different. And so within 6 years, their whole craniofacial features had changed, which is amazing. And then there was another book called Pottinger's Cats. And Francis Merringer Pottinger was doing studies. He was a scientific researcher, I think, in the 1960s or 1970s. And what he was doing a whole heap of different study, and he had this huge cage of cats where they would use them for scientific research. And he would cook all this food for the cats and go out there and feed it to them at night time. But all of a sudden, the cats started dying faster and faster and faster, and he couldn't feed them. He couldn't cook enough food because he wasn't sure whether there was going to be 100 cats tonight or 60 cats or whatever was going to happen. So after a while, he just thought, screw this, and he started throwing just raw scraps to them. And all of a sudden, they stopped dying. And he went, oh, hang on, here's a pattern. So then he did a whole heap of scientific research on what it was and the changes in the cats, and it's amazing. Because exactly what's happening with humans right now is exactly what happened in the scientific research with cats that he did, 30, 40 years ago. It's amazing. When you read the book, you go, whoa, this stuff should be out. It should be spread everywhere.
What's the book called again?
Pottinger's Cats.
Pottinger's Cats.
Yeah, Pottenger's Cats. Amazing book. It's only a thin book, but it's really, really good.
So what did he attribute the change to, the causality?
Dietary changes. So he divided, from memory, he divided the cats up into 4 separate cages, and he fed them a completely different diet. And every time he would start feeding them sugar, processed flours, pasteurised milk, which is what we all drink now because it's illegal to buy raw milk, even though I still buy raw milk and I drink raw milk. Raw milk's just straight from the cow.
Where do you get yours from? Oh, you're in Adelaide, aren't you?
Yeah, you can buy it. It's called, I'll tell you after when the camera's off.
They use as bath milk.
Yeah, yep. I didn't say that.
I said it.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, it pretty much is. But if you have a look at what was happening in the, I think it was like the 1920s or the 1930s, they were injecting, like farmers were injecting bovine growth hormones into cows. And I think, is anyone a farmer in here or has anything to do with farming? No.
From farm?
From
Cool.
background from
Yeah. Cows? Yeah, how long?
barley.
Oh, do you know how long you can milk a cow for, like normally, if it's just natural?
As in how long it takes? Oh, you mean through their life?
As in like, how long can you do it for before they just don't produce milk and then they go through cycles, from what I understand?
Yeah, I'm not specifically sure. I didn't have a lot to do with it.
Okay, cool.
That's why I ended up here.
Cool. Great answer.
I only know sheep.
From what I understand, you can only milk a cow for about 6 to 9 months of the year. But what happened if you inject them with bovine growth hormone, you can just milk them all year round. Now, if you imagine milking something all year round, what would happen? Most mums get mastitis and things like that from, having a baby suck on there for a fair bit of time because it produces inflammation, which then can produce pus. And so all of a sudden they're milking cows that they've injected bovine growth hormone, and it started putting pus in the milk. And because of that, there's a lot of bacteria. And then all of a sudden, people in America started dying from drinking milk. And they went, it's not the fact that we've been injecting bovine growth hormones into cows and we've been milking them too long. We don't want to stop doing that because it's our cash cow. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll just start injecting antibiotics in them and we'll boil the crap out of the milk. But once you boil milk, all the enzymes break up and all the vitamins and the nutrients break up. So now you're just pretty much drinking white water that's pretty much toxic for your body. And the pus is still in there, okay?
You'll have your coffee just fine, Jack. You'll be sweet. You'll be fine.
That's why if you're going to buy milk, just buy organic milk or buy raw milk. Because people say to me that all the time, oh yeah, but you drink raw milk and you're going to get crook and you're going to get sick. But if it's a healthy cow, we've been drinking that stuff for donkey's years. And before that, Africans have been drinking it for for thousands of years, okay? It's not the milk, it's just most people look for the first thing that they find and they go, well, that's the problem. But that's not the problem. There's something deeper than that, and if you keep looking and use common sense, which isn't common, if you use common sense and think about things, you end up digging deep to finding out the real cause. It's just most people don't want to do that. I see this stuff all the time, and you'll probably see it as well, where you watch TV and TV tells you that there's something going on. You sit there and you think, well, hang on, is this the real cause? I remember only the other day, has anyone ever heard of GORD?
Yeah.
Or what GORD is these days?
I've heard of it.
TV ads have been cranking about it. Yeah, gastroesophageal reflux syndrome. Okay, there's a syndrome now for reflux, and it says it can be caused from alcohol, overeating, or things like smoking and stress. Wouldn't it make sense to most people to stop doing those things? Like if you're eating food and you're getting reflux, stop eating what it was that you're eating. I get heaps of reflux if I eat wheat because I'm gluten intolerant. So I just don't eat wheat. It's not that hard. If you're drinking heaps of alcohol and you're getting reflux, you can either stop drinking the alcohol or take this tablet and just keep drinking and follow your own shitty patterns that you've had for years. Now, I've got nothing against drinking. I don't mind the odd beverage or two. But it's just if you do it all the time and you're getting those problems, then it's time to stop. That's pain teaching you to change something. I mean, pain and problems are only there just to tell us that we've got to move, we've got to shift and learn something. But most people don't want to learn and they take the easiest option, and that's the problem. Okay? So it's just easier to take a tablet than to look in the mirror and say, shit, this is something that I'm doing or something that I've caused. All right, any other questions with that, with oxygen? Because I've probably got a lot off the topic then, but I just want to help everybody as much as I can answer the questions. So those books are amazing. They're probably some of the best books on nutrition that I've ever read, and most nutritionists don't read them. Okay. The other one's Paul Chek, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy. That book's phenomenal. How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy by Paul Chek. I've studied under a lot of people. Like I've spent $216,000 on study to date. And I try and seek the best professionals that I can in any industry if I'm going to learn something off of them. And I would say by far Paul Chek is the most knowledgeable person I've ever come across. Okay, he's amazing. I did a 7-day seminar with him late last year where we're at a health retreat for 7 days. The guy is 53 years of age now, still out-trains most of his athletes. His abs are like my fist, okay? And he's in his 50s. The guy would absolutely kick my ass. If it came down to it with exercise, he would kick my ass. If it came down to fighting and strength, he would kick my ass in his 50s, and I'm in my 20s. Okay, the guy's phenomenal. He's been on the world speaking circuit now for 29 or 27 years, and hasn't had a cold, flu, or a day off of work in 27 or 29 years. And he lives out of a suitcase for over 42 weeks of the year. Okay, so amazing guy. He knows health. That's why I read his book and I went, wow, I'm going to find out what he knows. He doesn't have a degree, but he's got the results, and that's what I'm after. Okay, so that book's amazing.
The other one is the China study.
That book's good. I didn't mind bits and pieces of that book. You've just got to be careful of it, because if I wanted to find out, like if I wanted to do research, I could get a whole heap of obese people and chuck them in a room and say, right, I'm going to pick all the obese people and I'm going to find out how to get them to lose weight and give them sugar tablets for a month and say, right, these clients lost this amount of weight, so all I'd get them to do is exercise and drink more water and breathe, and they would lose this amount of weight, and I'd say it's because of the sugar tablets. But I purposely picked those people in the study to get a result. What if I did exactly the same thing with people who were the perfect weight and you're giving them sugar tablets every day? There's a likelihood that increase as well. The China study was good. I don't agree with everything in it.
I don't agree with everything you said, but there was a lot of stuff that made you think. Because yeah, you're right. Biased or unbiased research, you can change any research to get the result you want to publish a paper.
Yeah.
100%.
And their whole thing was about not eating meat, and I'm cool with that. Like at the moment, I'm in a stage where I predominantly eat a vegetarian diet. But if my body tells me to eat a steak, I'll just go and eat a steak. I believe that once you title something and you identify yourself as being something, then you lock yourself into it. I have friends who are vegans and vegetarians. Some of them are healthy, some of them are sick as dogs. And they say, yeah, but we don't want to eat meat because it's unhealthy. And I go, well, is it working? Okay, our body tells us these things, but once you lock yourself into an identity, you stick with it. My other mates who are paleo, they walk around and they buy like 1 kilo steaks and they sit there and eat these steaks, and afterwards they're like drooling out the side of their mouth, they can't think properly, and I'm going, come on. Just stop sticking to the rules and just listen to your body.
What was that? The paleo?
Paleo, so paleo is like the traditional way of eating, so they don't eat grains.
They just eat
Meat
meat.
through veg.
Yeah, it's like meat, vegetables, but then there's like rules to all this stuff. I don't think they eat potatoes and... Yeah.
As if you're a caveman just ripping stuff up.
Yeah,
caveman
pretty
diet,
much.
Pretty much what it is.
I mean, the theory and idea behind it's great, but as I say to like my vegetarian friends, what happens when your body does start craving meat and then they eat it and they say they feel like crap? It's because all the enzymes in their gut just don't work anymore. They don't have the enzymes and the hydrochloric acid to break up that stuff, so they eat it and they feel bad and they go, oh, well, it's just not working for me, so then they go back to eating it. But then they get more and more sick as time goes on. So I think that if you just listen to your body knows better than any health professional. I mean, I'm a smart guy when it comes to health, but your body will always know better than what I know. I just find out what your body knows and then just ask the patterns and show you the way. Okay, it's that simple. But then again, there's other things that can stop you from understanding your body, things like fungus, parasites. If parasites and fungus live in your body, we've all got them, but if they flourish too much, they start sending out things called myotoxins, and those myotoxins pretty much trick your body into telling your body that they're not there. Because if you get a splinter, your body gets rid of it. It has to eject it out. But with a parasite, it wants to live in your body, it wants to feed off of it. Okay. Some research I was reading was saying that if you have a look at deaths by natural causes, the organ that normally fails is normally the organ that has the highest amount of fungus and parasites in it. So whether it fails just because of natural causes or whether it's failing because of the myotoxins and the toxicity of that organ from things living in it, who really knows? Okay.
How would you go about, like obviously detoxes and things like that can help to eliminate that? How else?
Just clean living.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're running your body down, that's why all of this stuff, like Mojo's about energy. If you have great energy, it's hard for opportunistic organisms to take over your body. Like a virus is a virus, a cold or a flu are opportunistic. So we've all been in areas where everyone around us is sick and we don't get sick. The reason is that our energy or our life force is high enough to stop that happening. I work with probably one of the world's top bioenergetic therapists in the world, and he lives in Adelaide. An amazing guy. He was actually the guy that fought the Australian government and the Dentistry Association to stop amalgam being used or mercury fillings. The guy's phenomenal, has an amazing way of thinking. And I don't remember why I got onto that. There was, with detoxing. And what he was telling me was that with a lot of his research with bioenergetics, if you have a look at it, anyone with a high life force won't be taken over by opportunistic organisms. Once your energy gets low, it's like the bully. The bully never picks on the guy who's big and stronger, he always picks on the weak kid. And viruses are exactly like that. Viruses, warts, parasites, fungi, and so on, they'll just pick on the weak kid. So when your body becomes low, when you start getting tired, like when do most people get colds and flus? Is it when they're busy or is it when they stop? When they stop. See it on Facebook all the time. Damn, the damn flu, like we name it. It's the damn flu. It's not us, it's the damn flu. The damn flu got me. It's, my holiday, I've been working my ass off for the last month and all of a sudden the damn flu got me. Okay, it's just because your brain and your body said right now it's time to unwind, and it's just overworked, and it's like thrashing your car. You thrash your car for a while and one day you might just be cruising along and bang, it happens. Or I put a bulge in my lower disc when I was a diesel mechanic and it wasn't lifting something heavy. It was lifting a towel off of the ground. I went like this and I went, oh, can't move. And that was it. Okay, it normally happens when we're not at that point where we've been thrashing ourselves. It's normally the time where we relax. Okay, does that make sense? But it can be as well if you just keep working, and you don't have time to relax, eventually, bang, it will just hit you. All right? With detoxing though, there's a few different methods. I use detoxes for a whole heap of different things. The first one that I normally do is a gallbladder detox, which I do every 6 months. And I've had so many people around me having their gallbladders cut out, and it blows my mind. You can do a one-day detox and get rid of all your gallstones naturally. Except scientists surgeons cut them out, and once you cut it out, it's gone for good, which means you don't digest fat properly for the rest of your life. Now, if you're a high protein type and you've got to eat more of a high fat diet, then you've just ruined your health pretty much for the rest of your life. Okay, you can look after it, but it's never going to be as good as with the organ in there. But one of my beliefs are as well, if you go to a doctor of medicine, what's their tool of choice?
Antibiotics, drugs.
Medicine. Yeah, drugs. Okay, so they're a doctor of medicine. If you go to a surgeon, what's their tool of choice? A scalpel. Okay, so you've just got to choose who you go to because they use their tool of choice. So like, to me, it's crazy that we have health professionals where they only learn one tool. You know, it's like going to a carpenter and saying, I want you to build my house, but the only thing you can use is a hammer. How good's the house going to look if the only thing that they can use is a hammer? Okay, it's just ridiculous. And normally what happens is you go to a general practitioner who's a general practitioner, and I have this with athletes when I've been working with a lot of athletes, especially footballers. They'll come in, they'll say, I've had a knee injury and I've had 3 operations, 3 knee ops. And I go, shit, when did you start thinking that the first 1, 2, and 3 aren't working? And I have a look and it's a core dysfunction. And so they go to the doctor says, yeah, no kidding, you've snapped ligaments in your knee. Okay, you don't need to go to a doctor to figure that stuff out when you walk and your knee collapses. So then from there, who do they send you to? The surgeon. Then you go to the surgeon says, yep, we've got to operate. Then 6 months later, did they get to the actual cause of the problem? No, they just treated the symptom. And then again, it happens a second time, then a third time, and then they come and see me normally. And when I check things, I do hormone organ profiling. I don't do so much anymore because a lot of the stuff I do now is on the mindset, because I believe you've got to change the mind to change the health anyway. But when they come in, the athletes, before a game, they'll start drinking Powerade, eating heaps of white bread, heaps of junk food, because white bread gives us energy, supposedly, and pasta and those sort of things, which if they're gluten intolerant, they'll swell up. Plus the Powerade and the Gatorade. I went to a lecture with one of the world's top nutritionists, and he was doing stuff for the American Olympic team. He was working for a lot of NBA clubs, NFL clubs, and they said when they use Gatorade and Powerade, they water the stuff down 50 to 1. So for every 1 litre of Powerade they tip in, they use 50 litres of water to water it down. Or they'll use water with food colouring so it looks like Gatorade, because they know that it's toxic. Okay? They just don't tell us that. It tastes good, it looks good, but how often can you walk out and see a fluoro blue fruit growing on a tree? Okay, it doesn't happen, which means it's got artificial colours, preservatives. Once you put that into your digestive system, your body says, what is this stuff? And if it has a reaction, it will swell. Now, if it's swelling organs inside your body, like your stomach, and this is what bloating is, it actually causes swelling of your internal organs. If those organs are swollen, how do you switch on your core? Which means when you switch on your core, your belly button must pull in. Pardon?
I miss my core.
Why's that?
I'm pregnant.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough. So with your core, your belly button has to pull in for it to work. Now, if an athlete's running, it's already pulled in a little bit, but if they get tackled, it will automatically pull in. Just as they get hit, it will pull in, okay, which will support everything. If they can't do that, all of a sudden they're running and they twist, their body weight goes one way, where does their knee go? So they keep having recurring knee injuries or shoulder injuries or back injuries. Our core's linked to our shoulder as well through fascia in our back, and there's a whole heap of other things. Most injuries that I come across are normally core dysfunction problems. But it's just we're not treating the cause, we're not going deep enough, it's just treating the symptoms. The next one's water. Most people I come across just don't drink enough water, and it's the second most important nutrient. You can only go a couple of minutes without oxygen and you're dead. You can go a couple of days without water and you're dead. If you start reducing the water intake or your hydration, it will naturally drop down your energy levels. Now, if your energy levels drop, you're more prone to sickness, more prone to health problems. Also, your body starts building up toxins and toxicity, which is one of the greatest causes, good work. That's one of the greatest causes of disease as well, is overtoxicity in the body. So the correct amount, write this down. It's 33 millilitres of water per kilogram of body mass. So 33 mils times if you're going to do it, put your body weight, if you know your body weight, in kilograms.
What? What's my body weight?
I got a scale if you want.
What's that?
I got a scale in there if you want.
Yeah. That's okay, write it down. So it's your kilograms or your body mass. Now times it by 0.033, which is 33 mils. 0.33. And when you work that out, that's the amount of water that you need to drink per day just to stay healthy and vital.
In litres.
In litres. Now, if you're working in a hot environment, so say you're a tradie and you're working outside in the middle of summer, the first thing you should be doing is at the end of every day when you think you're the most hydrated and you've been drinking that amount of water and you've had a weekend off where you're sitting inside in the air conditioning, weigh yourself. Then when you go to work in the morning, weigh yourself, and after work, weigh yourself, because what you'll find is that there's a reduction You may wake up in the morning, like I wake up in the morning, normally I'm dehydrated. Okay, and you can tell that by your urine colour. Urine should be clear. If it's yellow, you've either had way too much vitamin B supplementation, okay? Then you end up with a lightsaber in the toilet.
So are you clear when you wake up?
Mine's not, that's how I know I'm dehydrated. And at night time, because we're breathing, it's been 8 hours, 7 hours, for some people 1 hour, depending on if you've been out partying or not. You're normally dehydrated because you've been breathing without, and water's coming out, or that water vapor's coming out of our mouth, plus we're sweating in our sleep as well, so you wake up dehydrated. But normally if you chug a glass of water, go to the toilet, check your urine colour, you'll know whether you're hydrated or dehydrated. If it's yellow or there's any colour of yellow, tinge of yellow, then you know that you're dehydrated. But if you check your hydration on a day where you're off, where you've had a day off of work and you're just sitting at home, or you're chilling out and you're not doing too much exercise or moving around, then that's normally the ideal water mass that you need, unless you're on a weight loss diet or something like that where you're dropping kilograms. But that's sort of optimum level. Then if you go out and you're working out and you're exercising and you drop a litre or you drop a kilogram in an hour after a workout, you haven't just lost a kilogram of fat. You probably actually haven't lost anything yet, okay? Because it's just sparking up your metabolism. What you've actually lost is a kilogram of water, and 1 gram equals 1 gram equals 1 mil. Okay, so you need to drink another litre of water after you train or after you exercise. I know a lot of mining companies now are very strong on that. Weigh yourself in the morning when you get to work, and then weigh yourself after work, and notice how much your weight's decreased. That's how much water you need to keep drinking. Okay. And what that'll do is it'll start flushing out your toxins, it'll make you start feeling better, you'll become more energetic, and also your body will start losing weight. So if you're on a weight loss diet, it is important, or you want to lose weight, it's important to have enough water. It's one of the first things that clients, when I used to do a lot of health coaching, health advising, clients would come in and the first thing I'd say is, number 1, breathe, number 2, drink heaps more water. Okay? Especially when you're losing weight, toxins start coming out of your body. Our body will store toxins in its fat cells. If we're eating a high toxic diet, high food colorings, flavorings, like when I watch The Biggest Loser and they drop like 5 kilos in a week, that blows my mind, because the body has to get rid of those toxins. Not only have they lost 5 kilos of fat that the body has to get rid of, they're also losing all those toxins from the McDonald's and everything that their body doesn't want to put in healthy muscle cells. So it says, let's encapsulate them in the fat and let's store them for later. And when we're healthy and when we're ready to burn up all those toxins, then let's break the fat down and push them back out through the liver. But people can end up with cirrhosis of the liver just by dropping weight, especially if all those toxins are coming back out of their body. Okay, things like The Biggest Loser aren't a good thing. They're a good thing because it makes people think about their weight and people start having the belief that they can lose weight, especially if they're really heavy. But doing it that way is crazy. Okay. Any questions on water? Because I'm going to power
Do
through.
you have too much water? Like drinking too much?
I have. You do get the odd.
You know that story where that woman drank too much water, then her cells burst, and then she died?
I have heard stuff like that.
It's terrible.
I think if 1 person per year dies in the world because they drink too much water, yet 1 in 2 people are developing cancer. And if you have a look, normally a lot of causes of cancer, you can relate them back to toxicity of the body. Okay, by eating the wrong foods, by the body just being over toxic. I think that if people just drank more water, the risk is almost ridiculous not to drink more water. I've never ever come across anybody who's died or knows anybody who's died. All I've heard is stories about someone who's died from drinking more water. Yes?
I've treated people who've died from too much water.
You've treated people? Yeah. How?
Just dilute. You're right though. All it is dilution of salts and minerals.
Cool.
First sodium, potassium pump, that's it. Their heart just goes.
Yep.
That's it. That's the only reason.
Okay, and the thing that I say to that is if you have a look at water, if it takes 45,000 years to change a genome 1/10 of 1%, right? So research by Roger Williams, who's a PhD, shows that it takes around 45,000 years to change the genomes 1/10 of 1%, which means we've hardly changed in the last 40,000 years. When we drank water 45,000 years ago, where do we get the water from? River, streams, where else? Ground, rain, yep. If you're going to drink water off of the ground, not only do you get the water, but you get all the minerals and all the salts off of the ground. The same as when water flows through rivers and channels, it picks up all the minerals from the rocks. So when you drink it, it normally has a high mineral content. When you drink stuff like this stuff's from the Coca-Cola factory, okay? Normally, they dig a big hole into the ground, they suck out the water, they purify the crap out of it, and then they tell you that this is, you know, Mount Franklin, Australia's premium spring water, okay? It's Coca-Cola factory water, it's not spring water. How much is that stuff compared to Evian? Yeah, a third of the price, half the price. A bottle of Evian water, if you drink it, tastes completely different.
I like it.
You don't like it? Okay.
It tastes different because I mean, like I'm probably more impartial to it.
Yep.
But it's only because I'm not used to it. It's more beautiful. Let's put it that way. Like when you drink it, you're like, wow, there's beauty on my tongue right now.
I had that Fiji water the other day and I didn't like the taste.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Because we're used to the.
We use it purified,
Yeah.
chemically changed water.
Yeah.
So you're right. And the person that passed away from it, they were drinking 8 litres a day.
Okay.
That's quite a lot.
That's a lot.
That is
so
a lot.
You've got to go pretty stupid with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
With that though, what I normally do is if you get, it's sort of like drinking wine. If you become a water connoisseur, you'll know what water's right for you. Some days I wake up, especially during speaking gigs, and I crave aqua panna. Does anyone know aqua panna water? Normally they sell it at airports. It's like in a clear bottle with a white thing around it. If you have a look, the mineral content's completely different than all the other waters, okay? Because it comes from a different spring. Evian water comes from France. It has very high calcium. I can't remember what else. Like I think it's very high magnesium as well. So it has a lot of magnesium. It's got half of the calcium of milk in that water, and it's more readily available. Calcium in water is more readily available than milk. Okay, so you're probably going to absorb more of it out of the water than you will milk.
Is that because the milk's boiled and all that stuff?
Yes, it is, and most of the time they add it's fake calcium anyway. Okay, it's not real calcium, because if you have a look, it'll say fortified. Anything that's fortified means that it was such a bad quality product that to actually bring it up to standards for humans to be able to consume, they need to add stuff to it. And bread's the same. There was research that I had a little while ago, and this was research from about 20 years ago, where they did a study with rats and children's cereal. And they fed one group of rats the cardboard box that the cereal came in. They starved the other group of rats, and the last group they fed the cereal. You know what was the first group to die?
Cereal.
The children's cereal. Because once you process it, once it gets heated, all the enzymes and everything just break up. So it's pretty much nothing. When the starvation died second, and the cardboard box were the longest living. Because when cardboard's made, it's not superheated like cereal is. So there's still at least some vitamins and some nutrients in cardboard, okay? Which blew my mind, but it doesn't surprise me. That's why if you have a look at kids' cereal, it'll say fortified with calcium, added this, added that, added vitamin B, added omega-3s. They add all this stuff because now they're actually trying to make it real food again.
So what do you give children?
Real food. So
Unprocessed food.
I don't give them fruits, vegetables. Like I don't have kids, but what I normally eat, like if I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'll have eggs and bacon. I'll have juices because eggs are still very natural. If you buy, like I love eating meat still, but free-range bacon or free-range organic bacon, or if you know a farmer, just get it straight off them if it's free-range. Sometimes I wake up and eat steaks. Other times I wake up and just eat big bowls of fruit. It depends on how my body's feeling. At the moment, I'm going through a stage where I predominantly eat vegetarian. Okay, and most of the time I'm drinking juices first thing in the morning. So it's enough to sustain their energy. The only thing that they're not going to get is the fibre, but I'm not a huge fan of all this fibre stuff that goes on these days. I remember this is something that when I was working at the medical centre, there was a nutritionist who was arguing with me about how I eat, how I was eating at the time, and I was eating high fat at the time, but I was training very hard as well, so my body was breaking down a lot of protein. She came out and she was saying, you know, you're going to kill people with your advice, you're an idiot, you're stupid, and you know how you get those passionate people who don't think. She was one of them, and so she sent me this research, and the research it was some of the latest research that had came out, and it was only on the TV about a year ago. Australians need to eat 4 times the amount of grains than we're currently eating. Okay? Why would the government tell you to eat more grains? What's one of the industries our economy is based on? Well, there's a sign straight away that the research probably isn't that good. So I got on and I Googled the researchers' names. It's the first thing when someone sends me research, I Google who paid for it, who the researchers were, and what other boards they sit on. And I came across 2 researchers who did that research who are on the Australian Grain Board or advisors to the Australian Grain Board, and I just sent it straight back to them and I said, look, I'm not even going to read it, don't send me this crap again. Now, it was all over the media, you know, we're eating more grains, you reduce cancer, you reduce this, reduces heart disease. And I'm sitting there going, we're eating more grains, especially wheat, than ever before in history, yet we're becoming, well, I think we're probably one of the sickest races of people on the face of the planet at the moment, or the sickest group of people. We overtook America in obesity. Now that's saying something, okay? It's ridiculous, okay? Go back 150, 200 years ago and see what we were eating, completely different. How am I going for time? I better speed it up.
So you're talking about the grains and stuff. Is that the same with meat, like the beef industry pushing people to eat more meat and they put those ads out on TV?
Yeah.
Like those Sam Neill ads and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, you're not gonna be the beef industry and say, hey, eat heaps more grains, okay? And you're not gonna be the grain industry and say, hey, eat heaps more fruit, okay? And normally the industries with the biggest power, I mean, if you've read Jamie's book, you understand all this stuff as well. That the industries with the most amount of power, the biggest influence, are always going to influence the way that decisions get made, what people know, what people don't know, which sucks in a way, but it's just the way that it is. It's just about educating people. Okay, so water. Second, nourishment. I just came across this one day. I was working with a client and they were asking me about eating food. I don't believe there is any diet that's right for anybody. Because once you say that I'm on this diet, how do you eat? You eat like that. Now, the human identity makes us conform because we want to be consistent. If I say, you know, I'm a health guru, I always get, well, when doing these seminars, I always get people who come up to me, and when I say always, I mean always. I always get people who come up to me, and the one night of the month that I'm plowing down a big schnitzel, or I'm out drinking beers, they're like, hang on, but you're the health guru, you can't have beer. I'm like, pardon my French, I hope you don't mind if I swear, but fuck you, who are you to tell me what I can eat and what I can't eat and when I can drink and when I can't? Okay, life's about living. If you're going to go out and have some beers with some friends, just don't do it every night because that's not living anymore. Now you're escaping. But if you're going to do it because you enjoy just catching up with some friends or you're enjoying eating good quality food with a great group of people, then that's just the way it is. So one of the things that I said is the faster that a food goes off, the healthier it is for you. What's our stomach made up of? How does it break up food? Hydrochloric acid. What else? Enzymes. What else? Muscular movement. What else? Something big. What keeps us healthy and vital? What makes our immune system work?
Bacteria.
Bacteria. So if bacteria won't eat the food in the cupboard, or the enzymes on the food won't break it down outside of our gut, what makes you think that it's going to break it down inside of our gut? So if I get a steak and I put a nice steak or a nice bit of fish out here, and I put some broccoli and some cauliflower here, and some children's cereal and a couple of packets of biscuits, which one are the bacteria going to attack? Yeah. Now, if you have a look, if you buy good quality real meats, a cow can walk around and eat lots and lots of grass. It actually condenses the vitamin content of that food into its flesh. If you buy crappy meats, then of course you're going to eat all the toxins and all the shit as well with it.
But in it as well?
Well, that's why I just buy organic stuff. Yeah, buy organic, free range, or just go straight to the farmer. Now again, it's up to you whether you eat meat, don't eat meat, whatever. But you can still use this philosophy anyway. The faster a food goes off, the healthier it is for you. So if you're going to go to McDonald's and you feel like a hamburger, don't do what most people do and sit there and go, oh, I can't eat the hamburger. Yeah, but I want to. No, I can't eat the hamburger. Ladies, what happens when it's period time and your brain says, aha, let's eat some sugar?
Every day at 3 p.m. Doesn't matter what time of the month it is.
Okay, need to kick that, that's a habit.
Boss.
But with that, it's period time. Naturally, if on the female menstrual cycle, females need to have more carbohydrates. If you don't have more carbohydrates and you stick to a strict diet, all of a sudden, what does your brain do at 6 o'clock at night when you have time to start relaxing? What does it say to you? Craving. Can't stop thinking about it. eat the chocolate, eat the chocolate. You're there with friends and they're talking and you're off in La La Land going, eat the chocolate, eat the chocolate. And now, instead of just eating that bowl of fruit for breakfast, now you've just plowed down 3 blocks of chocolate and you're all emotional and you're crying and your partner's sitting there going, what the hell have I got myself in for? Because now all your hormones have changed. You feel like crap not only because you ate chocolate, but all of the sugar and everything like that in it as well. I tell my clients, just eat a bowl of fruit in the morning. If you feel like more sugar, just eat a bowl of fruit in the morning and have some fruit at lunch. Then you don't get the cravings at night time. But if you're going to have a hamburger, what's better? A McDonald's hamburger that you can leave outside for 1, 2, 6 years. I'm actually sure that most McDonald's hamburgers will outlast us. Or are you better off going around to the fish and chip shop and to George's or whatever and getting a fish and chip shop burger? Which one will go off faster?
Fish and chip shop burger.
Yeah, so just go and eat that. Or are you better off going to George's or making one at home?
Too.
Yeah.
Fish and chip shop burgers are the best ones.
They are. Or, what are you better off doing? Getting George's or making your own at home? Yeah. So now see, there's choice. When you have choice, you feel empowered. When there's no choice, you feel disempowered. That's why I don't like diets. If you're going to have grains are okay. I have this debate with people as well. Yeah, but grains and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're going to eat grains, soak them. Just soak them first. If you're going to have nuts, soak them. Because I can put almonds up here and they'll last forever if they're dry. Once they become moist, then they start growing mold on them. So just soak them first and you watch. If you soak them, leave them for 12 hours, drain them, soak them again for another 12 hours, all the mycotoxins, which are natural to stop animals eating the seed, because it's a seed, it wants to rejuvenate, it wants to regrow. So these organisms or these plants have become smart over the years, and what they say is, we're going to put a toxin in there that makes you crap. So the grain or the nut or seed produces this toxin, and it shuts down your digestive system and then makes you go to the toilet. The benefit of that is if you're a bird and you're pecking on this seed, and the next second you've swallowed the seed, you're flying over there and it's making your stomach a bit upset and you crap over there. Not only have you just fertilized the seed, but now the seed's going to grow as well because it's in water, it's in liquid. So can you see how nature works? It's not that hard to figure out if you just look at patterns. So if you soak the nuts and seeds for 12 hours, soak them again for another 12 hours, you can either re-dry them again. You're not going to get the bacteria and so on them, which you can do that, or you can just sprout them. Have you ever heard of sprouted grain bread? Yeah, or sprouted bread. Well, that's what it is. It's opened itself up. It's got life force again. It's growing. Another cracker of a debate when I get into nutrition is that people talk about calories. Calories don't make any difference to health. And I'll give you a great example. If calories make a difference to energy, why then at Christmas when I overconsume food by about 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 calories, do I sit there and I'm like this? How's my energy now? Okay, calories don't make any difference to our energy. It's an exchange of life force. What happens when you walk up to someone who's highly energetic? How do you feel afterwards? Yeah, energetic, because it's an exchange of life force. Someone who's got high life force passes that on. It's now scientifically proven that we have an aura. Do you know the electromagnetic field of the heart can be read 36 feet away from the body? Okay? So if I'm in here and I'm grumpy and anxious and stressed out, most other people in here will start feeling that as well. And I'm sure you're all aware of that, okay? Because we've all been around people like that. The more kinesthetic you are and the more you're a feeler, the more you'll feel that energy as well of other people. So our food, if it's got a life force and we're eating it, that life force is being passed on to us, okay, through the electromagnetic field. Everything that's living has an electromagnetic field. If you're eating dead food, there's no electromagnetic field. There's no life force. It actually takes energy for you to re-energize that food. That's why some foods you eat, like if you eat a bag of chips or lollies, things like that that have very low life force, or a can of Coke, you'll feel good for a little while because the sugar jacks up your hormones. Okay, it changes you hormonally. But then all of a sudden you come for the crash. It's because the life force isn't there. Am I making sense?
Yep.
There's some new stuff coming out, and I won't mention who it is because I don't know whether they'll get in trouble if I do. But the studies show that if a human has an electronic a frequency that can be measured now, if they have a frequency of 60 hertz and over, then they're healthy. The higher their frequency, the more they can think and the more they get in touch with other things around them. So they're like your spiritual leaders or people who meditate all the time. They can feel things, they can understand things, they can see things that other people can't see, okay? Then once you drop below 40 hertz, actually, sorry, it's 60 hertz. In between 60 and 40 hertz, you're open to viruses, fungal infections, things like cold sores because they're opportunistic, viruses, any of those sort of things are in between 60 to 40 hertz. Anything below 40 hertz is cancer. McDonald's has a frequency of 5 hertz, so does KFC. So if it takes 60 hertz to be healthy and you're having food that's 5 hertz and on a frequency level, what does your body have to do to get itself back up to that energy again? Because it's actually sucking the energy out of you eating that food, okay? It's like putting a huge magnet, it's sucking it out of you. That's why life force is important in foods. Any questions on foods?
How are you measuring these hertz?
There's actually a lot of machines out now that you can do it. I forgot what they're called. I know one of them's a Skio. Skios do it. I know.
You got vibration and stuff like that?
Yeah, it does. That's what it works. It works on frequency, so it measures frequency. Have you ever seen kinesiology done before? Okay. Do you just want to stand up for a second, and I'll show you quickly with kinesiology. So if you pop your arm up, this is just a quick kinesiology test. What I want you to do is I want you to think about something negative in your life. So think about something negative. Okay. Think about nothing too major, like I don't want you breaking down in tears and losing shit and throwing chairs and hitting people. Okay. Yep, you've got it. Something that frustrates you or made you really fucked off. Okay, cool. Can you see the picture?
Yeah.
Yep, it's nice and big. Get the feelings in your body now. I want you to feel it. Okay, cool. You got it? Yep, I want you to stay focused on that. Push up into my hand as hard as you can. Okay. Put your hand back up.
Yeah.
Okay, do it again. Push up as hard as you can. Okay, so not too bad. Relax. Now, I want you to think about a time where you were like energetic, friends, family around you, or something awesome happened. You're like, yes, this is wicked.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah.
Make it nice and big. Yeah, that's it. You can even smile a little bit. Okay, put your hand back up. Okay, push up as hard as you can. Okay, see that? How it just changed. So muscle, that's a muscle test. Hold it there. I'll just bring your arm back up. Put that water there onto your chest. Now push up into my hand as hard as you can. Okay, take that away. Did you feel the strength there? Because I'm pushing down about the same strength every time. Hold it there. Okay, just relax. Push up into my hand as hard as you can. Weaker or stronger?
Well, it feels weaker, but I don't know how much pressure you're putting on me, so that's...
Did anyone else see the difference? Like, was I using my body more or anything like that, or was it about the same every time? Yeah. I just held water, so the energy from the water near your energy is telling you that you need more water. You're dehydrated. Okay. I've done exactly the same with vodka. I've got 2 bottles and I've written vodka on one and put a sticker on the bottom and the other one water and held it up to people, and the vodka will always make them weaker. Okay. I've seen the best one I've ever seen. I was actually at a seminar and they used blue cheese, and they brought this blue cheese across to the person and he was standing like this, and as they brought it closer to him, he started doing that. His actual physiology was changing just from bringing the blue cheese, so obviously he was having a reaction to the blue cheese. If you have an intolerance and I bring that food closer to you, it will react in certain ways to reduce your energy and start shutting down muscles. Because what it's saying is that that energy is reacting with your body. Remember, scientifically now, quantum physics is there. Everything's connected. We know it. I mean, if you think about it, I talk about this in a lot of my seminars. If you think about it, what are we all made out of? What are we told that we're made out of at school? Well, energy is the next level, but what are we told at school? So the body, this stuff here is all made out of what? In chemistry class? Atoms. Atoms. What are atoms made out of? Energy. So I've got John here. John's made out of atoms. What's around John? All out here.
Energy.
Atoms. So there's all these atoms all around John. So everything's connected. If I go to a kiddie ball park, you know those little ball pits that you put kids in, they sink down to the bottom and you've got to get them out, so they drown in them. Pull one ball out from the bottom and what happens to all the rest of the balls? Yeah, they change their position. So if you change an atom or remove one atom, everything else changes. But what are atoms made out of?
Energy.
Energy and something else. There's one other thing that atoms are made out of. Energy and information. So every molecule contains energy and information. What's a thought? What's a thought made out of? Information and energy. Every thought you have travels at the speed of light. That thought can travel around the world twice every second. So if you're changing your thought, you can influence the molecules around you as well by changing the energy and the information. Because if I pull that ball out there, everything else has to change. That's why, you ever heard of the term, we're all Aussies, shit magnet? Some people are just natural shit magnets, where they attract negative things into their life. Some people just naturally bring positive things into their life because they're positive people. They think differently. They feel things differently. Again, the electromagnetic field of the heart can be read 36 feet away from the body. The brain energy can only be read up to 6 foot away from the body. Every heartbeat influences and imprints every cell in our body through different methods. It does it physically through the actual pulse itself. It transfers electronic energy. Okay, there's other ways that it does it as well. I won't get into it because I'll go way off of track. But thoughts become things. We already know this. Okay. So food transfers energy as well. Now, what was the question originally? How did I get onto that? Sorry? Tangent. Oh, kinesiology. So by that, that's right. If you've got the energy from the water next to somebody who's dehydrated, it should make them stronger because it's saying, when this is there, it's better for us. Take it away, it's worse for us. If I filled that up with vodka and put it near you, it should make you weaker, or you'll actually become a lot weaker because it's saying that this is reacting in a bad way. If something makes us strong, it's good. If something makes us weak, it's not good. Okay, it's that simple. Any other questions on nourishment?
Yep.
Yes.
What's your take on the whole acid alkalinity diet? Things like that.
Great question. There's another book that I read which looked at blood typing. It looked at pH balances. It looked at a whole heap of different things that happen every time you eat food. Because what happens in most diets focus on one thing. So acid and alkaline normally says, what are foods like external of the body? So fruit is normally alkaline outside of the body, but when you eat it, what happens?
Quite often it'll be acid.
It can be both, depending on, again, genetic blood typing and makeup, our genetic makeup. From what I understand, the book's called The Metabolic Typing Diet by William Welcott and Trish Fay. Another amazing book full of scientific research, and it made sense to me. Because what it was saying was that everybody's different. That's what I love about it. And it says, understand your own body. For me, at a point in time where I used to eat heaps of fruit, I used to get lots of acid reflux, it made me feel tired, I used to get sick a lot, and that was from eating fruit. When I was younger and had all of the problems that I had, like with depression, I kept going back to the doctor, and the doctor, even though I was told that I had ADD, would say, Michael needs to eat more carbohydrates. I would be like insane for an hour or two and then sleeping. Insane for an hour or two, sleeping. I couldn't concentrate, I couldn't think properly. And every time I'd go back to the doctor and he'd say, eat more carbohydrates. So I kept eating and eating and eating, and it just made me worse. Then I found out I was gluten intolerant, and that's why. Okay? No one ever tested me for that. I only found that out a couple of years ago. And that was just by monitoring my own food. What time do I need to wrap up?
I don't know. You guys actually want to go back to work, or do you want to sit here?
Yeah, keep talking.
Oh, don't tell me that. You'll walk out of here at like 3 o'clock
Currently
next
5 till
Friday.
1. We had scheduled till 2.
Okay.
Go for a little bit.
Okay, cool. Just go like that when you want me to get off, because I can keep going for hours. Seriously, I do.
Master management's away, so.
Yeah.
Keep going.
This is good. Keep
Cool.
going. I'm enjoying it.
So with metabolic typing, they looked at pH balance, acid and alkaline. They looked at oxidization rates of foods, and they came across a whole heap of different things that I never knew. People who are high protein types or Northern European bloodlines normally have a shorter digestive tract, which means that they process food really rapidly. If you give them things like sugar that break down fast, it jacks them up and then smashes them. So it's like for some people, like back a couple of years ago, my metabolism was insane. If I ate fruit, it was like throwing a whole heap of sticks on the fire. I would flare up and get lots of energy and then just crash. So I would put the big logs on, which were the heavy, dense meats, the heavy, dense carbohydrates that took a long time to digest. And I'd normally get 3 hours and I'd have to eat again. If not, I couldn't function. I became angry, I became aggressive, just frustrated. because my energy was just poor. Some people who are carbohydrate types actually have a longer digestive tract, from what I understand from reading all this research, which makes sense. So they can digest things like sugar and carbohydrates because it takes a lot longer to get through the tract, even though it digests faster. Okay. Also, Northern European bloodlines, they with their pH levels, from what I understand, they're highly alkaline. So if you're giving people with highly alkaline blood more alkalinity, is it healthy or is it unhealthy now? Unhealthy, so they need more acidic foods to bring them back into balance. Equatorial regions where they've had lots of fruit and grown up on that for centuries or thousands of years, if they're used to eating fruit and you're giving them heavy red meats all the time, you're going to kill them. Because this food's just sitting in their gut and not going anywhere and not doing anything. It's just, they feel sluggish. So the book's excellent. It's years since I've read it. I just understand the basics and the patterns. Again, what I got out of the book was everybody's different, understand your own body.
And then but that comes back to point one, because acid and alkaline blood is related to carbon dioxide and oxygen. So if you breathe better, you're going to be pH neutral.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then that comes back to water as well, because water's going to flush out toxins. Most toxins are acidic. So there's a whole heap of things that go on. That's why I like studying a whole heap of different things and combining it all together. Really, people should be coming to people like me before they even go to it and see a doctor. And then I say, here, this is what I think. Then go there. My background as a diesel mechanic, I used to work for Caterpillar. And in there, if a machine broke, they wouldn't just fix it. They'd actually get it and they'd research every little thing. So a gear in the gearbox could break and they wouldn't just go, yeah, we'll chuck a new gearbox and let's get this thing running. They would take it and it would go to a lab, and I worked in the lab. And the lab was this area that was like a medical institute, and would pull everything apart and would get it under a microscope and would look at the gear. Would look for cracks, fractures, any markings that can show anything that happened to that gear to make it crack. Now, if it cracked once, then nothing changes. But if something keeps occurring and we kept finding that it was actually the metal that fractured, then the metal composition's wrong. So that Caterpillar would change that. And because they've got a worldwide database, I'd look at that. If it was something like there was a weakness in the strengthening material on the outside, then we could look at that. We would look at that exact point and then they'd change that. What's happening now is, for most people, they go to the doctor and the doctor just says, well, the gearbox is broken. That's all it is, the gearbox is broken, just replace it, slam another one in and off it goes. But they're not actually looking at why. I was taught by Paul Check, keep asking why until you get to the thing that there's no other whys. And then that's the answer. Whereas now it's just, this is what's going on, go to the specialist, get it fixed. Okay. With the pH balance stuff.
What I mean is that, like, does eating all these type of foods make much of a difference, or is it just neutralised by your stomach when it gets in there anyway, or something like that?
No, it does make a difference. Again, you've got to understand your own body. At the moment, because I'm eating more of an alkaline diet, I know that my body needs more alkalizing. And I feel better, like when I'm drinking things like coffee, I know my body becomes a bit more acidic, my energy levels drop, so I'm having more juices. But if you get into energy medicine as well, in energy medicine, I won't go into that because that's just going to open up a whole nother door. With energy medicine, every 7 years, our energy centers change throughout the body, and they keep going every 7 years. So things can change every 7 years with our thinking patterns and the way that our bodies work as well. So you could be high protein for 7 or 8 years, and then all of a sudden you start craving more fruits, and that's what happened with me. Okay, that's why just listen to your body. Yep. You can also urine test. You can buy pH kits and just test your urine as well, and see that stuff. Just keep using these tools and understand your body. Anything else? Any other questions? Next one, movement. Movement's important. Now, movement isn't always exercise because there's energy in and there's energy out. If you go to the gym and you're pumping iron, that's energy out. You're actually burning energy from your body. There's also things like running. Running's energy out. You may feel good afterwards because it's jacking up your stress hormones or your adrenaline hormones, so you feel good after. Like, people always say to me, yeah, I feel great after I run. Well, that's true, you do, but that's because you're jacking your adrenaline up. If you do that late at night, you may not sleep. Like, I can't play sport in the afternoon because I'll stay awake all night. That's because it jacks my adrenaline up. Now, there's also energy in exercise, and energy in is things like Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates, things where they're not too intense, but you're breathing a lot, so you're actually bringing energy. The Chinese call it Qi energy. So it's life force energy gets brought back into the body. some of the biggest problems that I've done with clients is that some clients will wake up in the morning, they feel tired, they're sluggish, their tank's running on empty, their body's not working properly, their hormones are all out of whack, and then they go to the gym and smash themselves of an afternoon. Naturally, if you have a look at our circadian rhythms, naturally in the morning, our adrenaline should be high, which is our wake-up hormones, our stress hormones. As the day goes on, by lunchtime, there's a crossover at around 3 o'clock. So after lunch, it starts dropping. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is a crossover. That's why there's normally the 3 o'clock blues. Does anyone get that? Yep.
Hence the sugar.
Yeah. Well, the 3 o'clock blues is a natural thing that happens because your repair hormones are popping back up, like melatonin. They're coming back up and they're saying start winding down for the day, start relaxing. If you're going to the gym at 6 o'clock and jacking everything back up again, then you lift up your stress hormone levels, and at night time you probably won't sleep properly, or you'll grind your teeth, or you'll start craving things that'll make you sleepy, which are probably foods that aren't good for you as well. Okay. But with movement, energy in and energy out, I normally tell people to do things like Tai Chi or yoga, not Bikram yoga or anything in a stinking hot room where it's going to jack your stress back up again, but just things like traditional yoga. Okay, where you're stretching, where you're moving, where things are nice and slow, you're focusing on the movement itself. Walking is a great thing for bringing energy back into the body. If you're doing those movements, you may start feeling tingling in your fingers or tingling in your arms, tingling in your legs, and that's chi energy. You can actually feel it. It's just most people switch off from it and they just go, oh, my hand's a bit cold or it's a bit shaky, but that's chi energy building up as well. If I had time, I'd take you through a quick Tai Chi session, you'd feel it, you'd feel the tingling in your hands. And the more you do it, the more you feel it running up your body. Okay? So there are different types of movement as well. Self-time. Self-time's huge for health and energy. It's important to have your own little bit of time, and that's not time in front of the TV. Has anyone heard of Keith Cunningham before? Yep. With Keith Cunningham, I remember a story about him, and the story was that they were speaking to this guy who was at the time one of the wealthiest men in America, and he spoke about having thinking time, and thinking time were 2 half-an-hour blocks that he would book out twice a week, where he'd just lie on the couch and think about everything in his life that could go wrong and everything that could go right. And I recommend that for everybody. Isolate yourself, half an hour twice a week, just sit there and think about everything that's going right in life and everything that's going wrong. You can journal or whatever it is, but you want alone time by yourself, not in front of the TV, not with white noise and distraction, because in that time you're actually under hypnosis, so you're in a hypnotic spell, and it's just ways for marketing to get straight into your minds. That's why with people who have TVs on in the background, for some reason they'll just start craving a Coca-Cola or things like that. It's because that white noise is pushing in that information. Okay, self-time. Next one, sunlight. Sunlight's important. Get out there, get some sunlight. There's a lot of myths about sunlight with cancer and so on, but take off your sunnies. Your eyes produce melatonin by how light it is outside. If it's a sunny day and you're wearing sunglasses, it thinks that it's late afternoon, and so it drops your melatonin levels. You get burnt easy. It's not going to help your skin repair and all that sort of stuff, so just don't wear sunglasses. If your eyes are all dodgy, because this is another thing people say to me as well, if your eyes are dodgy and you walk outside, you're like, whoa, that's crazy, it's normally because your body's too toxic. Or you've just come from a really dark environment and you've walked outside and it is a shock. Okay? Love. Love what you do, love who you're around, and find great meaningful relationships. That's a huge one. Okay? If our heart energy is a transfer of life force energy to other people around us, and you're around negative people, they're going to suck you dry. I call them eaters and feeders. Feeders will constantly walk around with bowls and they'll feed everybody around them. Now, if you're in a group of feeders, you all feed each other and you all get fat. Not fat in a bad way, fat in a good way, fat with energy. If you're around eaters all the time, they'll naturally take your energy, and by the end of the day or after talking to them, you feel like crap. So surround yourself with feeders. Sometimes you've got to be careful, because normally with eaters as well, they'll eat everything and they'll leave crumbs, so they believe they're feeders. But just because they've left crumbs, they're not feeding. Okay? You normally know, the key tip is that eaters you'll know because they leave shit everywhere. If you eat too much, you have to shit. Okay? And that's a lot of the time what eaters do. They'll eat everything and then they'll leave shit, and you've got to clean up all the mess. And it's the mess in friendships, the mess in relationships, the mess financially that they leave people in or their friends in, and so on. Any questions on that? I'll start wrapping up. This is how we start changing our neurology. So the next stage, if we go back to this here, that there, we had purpose first, health and vitality second, emotion and mindset. Now, not many speakers speak about myelin. Has anyone heard of myelin before? Yep. With myelin's really important because if you want to change a pattern, you have to myelinate it. I've been to so many NLP courses and psychology courses where they talk about, we can change a neural link in a second and then because of that a new habit can be formed. Well, that's true, but it takes 21 days to change a habit. Or, actually, it takes 21 days because we've got to myelinate it. You've got to myelinate the pattern. It's a fatty sheath. So right here, you've got a nerve fibre, and then this stuff here is the insulation, just like the wire. If I took away that insulation and had a wire here and a wire there, what would happen?
Short circuit.
Yeah, short circuit would interfere with each other. That's why some days people go, right, it's Monday, I'm going to start a new gym program, new exercise program, or I'm going to make money, or I'm going to do whatever they're going to do, and they start heading in the right direction, and all of a sudden they go, woohoo, this is the way that I like going because this is easy. It's because they've myelinated the old pattern, but they haven't myelinated the new pattern. So it's either going to take 21 days of them forcing themselves, or it's going to take a lot of emotion. Emotion changes it in a second. Does anyone remember 9/11? September 9/11? Yep. What were you doing?
I came out of the kitchen and I saw the building on fire and I thought it was a movie, and then when I realised it was real, I quickly wrote down my journal everything I was feeling.
Cool. What were you eating at the time? What were the smells in the background? Can you remember where things were?
Yeah, I can remember everything.
Cool.
I was at the beach house and I was about 13.
Yep.
And, yeah, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, it was just full on.
Do you remember what was in the beach house as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because what happens is under a lot of emotional intensity, the brain says, this is important, there's a lot of emotion there, we must remember this now. And so your brain insulates it with fatty tissue so that you know that pattern again. Either so you avoid it, Tony Robbins talks about pleasure and pain, so that you avoid that situation again, or you go and move back towards that situation. Now, some people have myelinated eating sugar as being a good pattern, and then when they try to break it, it's hard because the brain says, yeah, but this stuff's good. So I'm going to give up sugar, but I like sugar. Okay? It's because it's been myelinated. If I made you eat 20 bowls of sugar until you threw up, then all of a sudden, that myelinates as becoming painful. Okay? Something different. Now with September 9/11, painful experience, normally like, whoa, this is crazy. And now you bring back all the pictures, the thoughts, the smells, everything's myelinated like that with that nerve fibre that says, wow, I remember that day because there was a lot of pain associated with it, whether it was pain for you or pain for other people when you started feeling it. Okay, yes?
Can I also ask a quick question? Have you done, for instance, like Tony Robbins UPW?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just did it like just recently, like last 4 months or something.
Yep.
One of the processes that we went through was getting into an emotional state. He didn't say myelin.
Yep, myelination, yep.
Yeah, so he didn't mention myelin, but he talked about like chords and creating a strong connection.
Yep, the monkey finger. Bend it once, bend it twice, bend it 100 times and it stays bent.
Yeah, but
yep.
He was saying like that if we create an emotional, like a highly emotional experience around it, instead of creating one string to that chord, that was going to thicken and do it in a more rapid time frame. So I mean, I've seen massive change in those certain areas that I went into my own emotional state in that moment. Since I came back, is this similar? Like, is this what?
This is exactly what Tony Robbins does without telling you. When I went to Tony Robbins events, I knew he'd read the same stuff that I've read, and he does reference it.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle,
yeah.
And that's Tony Robbins' reference, yeah. And that's all on this stuff. What creates talent is myelination. I do similar stuff when I work with clients as what Tony Robbins does. Like I'll yell, scream at people. In my events, I do like breakthroughs, depression breakthroughs, all of that stuff, which is pretty much the same thing. If you can use pain to make people feel bad about their crappy states and then create positive, empowering states for them to move into, then you get a change. If you talk about it, you're only reinforcing it, which is what most psychologists do. I was working with drug addicts and I was doing 1 hour breakthroughs with depression, anxiety, eating disorder, or drug addiction. And there's testimonials on my Facebook of like a methamphetamine user who 1 session changed his way of thinking. And he still doesn't know why it changed. He just went, I was just thinking differently. And it's because of the myelination. But yeah, you want to use emotions. That's how marketers do it. Marketers just use emotions. They push people in one direction, form a new pattern, and then they think about whatever it is that they want. Cool.
My sister's got MS and they talk about demyelination.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, so what happens is with MS, it eats away this tissue,
Yeah.
and that's why they get a lot of interference. So they'll start shaking, or they may be thinking one thing and then all of a sudden they're thinking about something else and off track. And it's just extremely hard for them because it does eat that away.
Yep.
With that, maybe have a chat to me after, because there's other things that can help with that stuff as well. I've worked with a few people with MS. Yep. Any questions on myelination?
Any good books to read?
Yeah,
surrounding that?
Daniel Coyle, The Talent Code.
Yeah.
Yep.
You said that before. So Daniel Cord.
Coyle, Coyle, I think. But remember, I did have
Yeah, The Talent Code.
dyslexia growing up, so
Good book.
yeah.
Good book, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then I was just looking at how other people, especially a lot of presenters, were doing their stuff. If you come to any of my live events, they're sort of similar to Tony Robbins as well. Lots of moving, lots of jumping, pushing people outside of their comfort zone, for that exact reason that if I'm going to get a change, I want it fast.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want 2 weeks, a month for people to change their stuff.
What's the book called?
The Talent Code.
Talent Code.
Yep. So he wanted to find out what made people talented. Cool, we're losing people left, right and centre. They were just,
He's putting on some money in his car.
oh, cool. I was going to say it'll just be me up here talking and everyone will be gone. Just me and the camera.
He was like talking 5 minutes ago. He's like, go. He's like, no, I don't want to leave.
Oh, well, at least I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's myelination. The 3 ways to change it, and this is what Tony Robbins talks about: habitual physiology, the focus, and our language patterns. If we quickly look at that, the way you use your body, has everyone done Tony Robbins, or do you want me to run through it all? Does everyone know this stuff, or I'll quickly run through it? Okay. Because we can do it. I love working with clients with depression because this is the stuff that I use consistently. I get phone calls from people and the first giveaway is their voice, their tonality. Hi, I need to book a session with you. And I'm like, cool, he's got depression. I write it down on my thing. Or there's something going on, he's shy, he's got some massive barriers that we've got to remove. Then they rock up at my door and they knock on the door and they look like this. Hi, I'm John. I'm here to see Michael. And then I do the opposite. I freak them out because I go massively energetic. I'm like, hey, John, come in, Ray! And they're like, the fuck? They don't know what's going on. And it's cool because it starts interrupting their pattern. Or I'll do crazy things like when I go to shake their hand, I'll go like that. Yeah? And you start tickling their hand. Or you do this. And you're like, hi, how are you? And straight away it just broke their pattern. So they're depressed and they're standing there, and then all of a sudden you grab their hand. Was that like a shock?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. Cool.
Isn't that how you shake hands anyway? Just grab people's wrists.
Yeah.
No.
But it's just enough. They go like, what? And you go like, happy? You feeling happy? And what did I just imprint on their brain?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's,
You don't mean depressed Aikido master who chucks you on your head.
normally if they're that good at controlling things, they'll control their mind.
When you break someone's pattern like that,
Yeah.
does that open up their subconscious?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So you can obviously use linguistic sort of imprintation.
Yep. Have you watched any Darren Brown stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Awesome.
Watch Darren Brown stuff, and he does break states. He's probably the best at break states ever. Probably the most amazing guy I've ever seen at break states.
You see the Russian scam stuff? We just hand over keys and stuff?
Yeah.
He does the breaks thing.
Yeah, he goes and pays for, I think he bought a diamond ring. Like he bought a $10,000 diamond ring with just paper. And it was clear paper, like there was nothing on the paper. He just gave him paper and the person was like, okay. And they started putting it in the till and then they went, hang on, what? And they chased him out and they had cameras watching him. And this person's like, the hell did he just go? Hopefully he went back and he gave back the stuff. But it was just enough to break state. Like he would, one of the ones he goes to the dog track.
How do I get a 10 grand diamond ring in paper? Let's go back a few steps.
Watch Darren Brown. But it's break states. You know, like,
We just rob them.
or you could do that. Well, it's the same thing, really. It's just some people use guns, some people use hypnosis. At a dog track, there was a lady, and he went up to this guy and he said, you know, how you doing with your bets and whatever? And the guy's like, oh, well, not doing the best today. And he's like, cool, I want you to go and pretty much pick the donkey, like the dog that's not going to win. And the guy goes up, buys his ticket, and he's like, why am I buying this ticket? Anyway, the dog comes last, and Darren Brown says, all right, cool, let's go collect your money. Takes the thing, talks to the person, and what if you watch it in slow motion, just as he says pay, he's like, oh, here, I've won. And he hit the thing, and it shocks her, and all she heard was one. And then he says, he does something again with her, and he's like, oh yeah, so we just want the payout. And so he hit it at payout, and so she, all in her unconscious, was just win, payout, win, payout. And it was the break state, him just hitting the side of the booth, the box.
We're going to learn this.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty hard. Like, I'm going to be shocking people left
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just enough to create a break state. And then because of that, she paid the cash out and he did it like 2 or 3 times. And then he'd say to her, like, that's the winning ticket, yeah? And she's like, yeah. And eventually the last time, he took the cash and on the thing, on the terms, it says once they paid out the cash, they can't do anything about it. And so he ended up getting this like whopping win. It was like $1,000 or whatever it was. And as he walked away, he's like, so that is the winning ticket. Like, just have a look and double check. And she was like, it was too late. He'd already got the money. Okay. So it's break states, but yeah, you can use it anytime, all the time, and you can imprint things on clients. But I've just find that if someone comes in with depression when they're in a bad state, if you break their state. In corporate situations, when I go and do corporate gigs, yesterday I was working at Origin Energy. And I said, if you're a team leader and you walk around and someone's slouched on the chair, you just walk over there and go, how you doing, buddy? What's going on? Didn't you just change state then? Yeah. Sitting up tall, you just changed their physiology. It could be something like this. Actually.
Oh, it's creepy. I hate it. She always does it.
Whereabouts on the back?
I don't know what I'm talking about it. I can't even talk about it. Up and back.
It's very
Sorry, you can touch
Learn energy medicine, because that'll probably tell you why. But with this, you just go, oh, actually, can you just hop up for a second? I reckon I dropped something around here. Just hop up. Cool. Oh, no, you're right. Sit back down. You're right. And what have you just done to their state?
Changed it.
You changed it, and they're like, what? And it's just enough just to break their state. But if you're working in a team, it's better to have a team full of people with a good state than it is to have a team full of people who are shitty and down and you just won't do these things. I use it all the time to freak people out. Okay, it's good. I prefer to have people around me happy than feel like crap.
How do you handle people who are suffering depression and or you're working with people who are negative thinking or?
Okay, the first thing you need to do is to get in rapport with them. So you've got to show them that you care, and you can't fake that. Like my belief for love is that providing I give love, I'm always loved. So I truly believe that everyone's a good person, no matter what they've done. They're a good person, they just have shitty patterns. When I work with someone, I truly want to help them because I do care about them. I care about everybody. And I hate seeing people in pain. Now, that's probably the first step. If you try and fake it, people can smell shit a mile away. And they might do it for a little while at first, but then they'll naturally resist. And I've seen lots of NLP practitioners who are like that, who go in there because they're floating their own egos about doing stuff. And they're not really passionate about the client. So rapport's the number one thing. Find out about them. Like I'll do the break state first, and then I go, come in, do you want a glass of water? And instead of saying, how do you feel? I'll say, what good's been working for you this week? And they're like, huh? Because no one ever asks them that question, so they don't know what to do. It confuses them straight away, which is where I want them to be. How, do you want me to?
Are you guys wanting to keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
I can finish.
Can we go for 5 minutes more?
10
Yeah, 5
minutes.
minutes.
Okay, cool.
Well, it's 2:15 now. 2:30. We'll end at 2:30.
Okay, is that all right?
Is that cool?
Yep.
2:30.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't want
I
to
don't know too
end up getting death mail from Jamie. You bastard, they haven't been working.
Like to see our productivity go up then.
Okay, cool. the afternoon sales just go. So yeah, with it, rapport's number one, and be passionate if you're going to work with people with depression, but don't reinforce shitty patterns. Psychologists do that, okay? That's why I don't like people going to psychologists. If they ask, should I go to a psychologist? I go, is your psychologist happy? First, answer that question. Ask your psychologist, how many drugs are they taking? Because if you're a doctor, when you go to work with doctors, ask them, say, what's your prescription list? Because you're only going to get the advice that they have. Then from there, use patterns or ask questions. It just takes skill. Like it takes time, it takes talent really to create these things. Like I won't ask because I used to make that mistake. How are you feeling? Well, how do you think a depressed person feels? Okay, like shit. Then you're reinforcing the pattern. What good's been happening this week? Tell me about all the good things. And they're like, huh? Well, I don't, I guess it's sunny outside. And I'm like, cool. What else is good? And you keep asking them questions. And that opens them up again. And they start seeing things that they didn't see before because their brain, by their belief system, says I'm depressed or has an identity of depression, which means they naturally look for it. Okay? You could walk down the street and see 10 good things, like people giving money to charity, people helping out others, and all of a sudden there's a guy who just stole someone's bag and they go, oh, the world's an evil place. Okay? It's just because we reinforce our beliefs. We don't believe what we see what we believe. Because the brain just deletes so much information every second. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Yeah. And just don't reinforce their patterns. Don't let them be
So
like
if
that.
they want to talk about negative things,
Easier said than done though.
Is it?
Yeah, I reckon.
You don't encourage it. Like if they're trying to be negative, how do you respond to that though?
I just keep asking him. I say, well, there must be some good things that have happened this week. And say, well, if not, you're obviously not looking for them.
Yeah.
Next time we catch up, tell me about the good things that are happening, because we all want connection. And if connection means that I'm only going to put up with you if you're positive, and they want my energy, my positive energy, then they've got to conform. And so we'll all try and do that to fit in.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, it's more challenging when you're talking about close relationships.
Yep.
Is that right? Like, I mean, that's just from what I've heard with NLP and hypnotherapy and stuff like that. There's certain things that you probably don't want to use on like close relationships.
Yeah.
Versus if you're working with clients or you're working with someone that you can get into rapport, get out of rapport, break rapport, all that sort of stuff.
You can. I choose my friends.
I haven't done NLP. Like, I'm going to be doing some stuff later on this year. But,
yeah. I personally think choose your friends and love your family, but you choose how long you spend with them.
Yeah.
So I've got negative family members and I just choose not to hang out with them a lot. Like I'll go on, my grandmother's one, I love my grandmother, but every time I go over there, it's like she watches the 3 o'clock news, the 3:30 news, the 3:45 news, the 4 o'clock news, the 4:30 news, then it goes right through to 8 o'clock in the current affair. And she sits there and she's like, oh my God, the world's such a horrible place. One person got stabbed. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, but Nan, 22 million people last night didn't get stabbed. And then the stupid thing is she turns around and she goes, don't be stupid. You serious? Well, that's just the way my brain works. I love her, but I just don't hang out with her all the time. Like if I go over there, I go over there, spend half an hour with her, talk about how bad her week's been, and then I'm out of there. Okay, because if I spend too long, I pick up those traits. Okay, and my life, I would prefer to go out and help an extra 100 people than hang out with a family member who just drains me where I don't want to be around other people. So I think, knowing your purpose in life, that's important. And some people say, yeah, but it's family, you've got to love your family, you've got to do this and that. But if your family truly love you, they want you to be happy in life. And if that means not hanging out with them, then sometimes that's the way it is. You'll find as well that when you change your patterns and your beliefs, because my mum was similar to that. My mum isn't a negative person, but she has a lot of beliefs that keep her stuck. She's very certainty driven, where she likes safety and security. And I used to go over there and argue with her all the time about nutrition. And what I found was that when I stopped arguing with her and I'd just sit there and I'd listen to her, then after a while she started asking me questions. And I'd say, well, I don't know, what do you think? Well, I don't know, that's why I'm asking you. And I go, okay, well, I can give my honest opinion, but I don't think you'll listen. Oh, yeah, I will listen. And I'm like, okay. And slowly after a while, it opened Mum up, because instead of going head to head with her, I just backed off. And then she sort of pushed the boundaries to see if I'd react. But that's the way she used to get connection, was through creating some sort of a drama or creating, a fight or whatever it was. Whereas now I stopped doing that. Yeah, it's no problem. And now she reads a lot of the references that I give her. Okay. Any other questions on this stuff? Because habitual physiology is the first thing. What I'm going to get you to do is just stand up quickly. And I want you to walk around and meet everybody as though you hate them, you don't care.
Easy.
Okay.
Easy.
Okay. You don't care. You're not even going to make eye contact with them. Just walk up to them. You don't even want to shake their hand. Just quickly go and do that. Just.
I can't do that.
Yes, you can.
It's really hard because you know everyone.
That's
Yeah.
what I get my friends is like.
You should be better off. You should be better at doing it. So just do it because I want you to experience it. Don't make eye contact. No eye contact.
So mad at you. Stop giggling.
Shake their hand. Shake their hand.
We are shaking hands.
Cool. Yep. Don't make eye contact.
Smiling, everyone. Oh, absolutely.
And it's just kind of freaking me out.
What's your attitude, mate? What's going on here?
Okay, cool. Grab your seat or go back there. So if we have a look at physiology, what happened with your body? How did you have to use your body in a negative way? Because you'll see this in people. Walk down the street, they're everywhere.
Closed in, slouch.
Closed in, slouch. Head, where were your eyes? Up or down?
Down.
Down. Head up or down?
Down.
Shoulders forward or back? Forward. Chest down or back? Or down or up, whatever you want to call it. Were you sort of like soft on your feet, like, hey, how are you? Can't be bothered. If I walked past everybody and gave you a good push, would you fall over? Or would you be strong on your feet? Okay, so you're weak on your feet. Now I want you to do the complete opposite. Like it's friends you haven't seen for years, you've been away from the office, there's all this new exciting stuff. These are like your best friends, family who you haven't seen. I want you to just go and introduce yourself, or not introduce yourself, but say hi, like you're happy to see everybody. Yeah, go for it, go. Tommy!
Oh my God!
See, I think he's every like.
Awesome. Grab a seat, you crazy cats. Grab a seat. Wow, am I talking too loud? Is that like gonna... Okay. Eyes, up or down?
Up.
Head, up or down?
Up.
Shoulders, back or forward? Back. Strong on your feet, weak on your feet?
Strong.
Strong. See the difference straight away? Breathing deep or shallow?
Deep.
Deep. Okay, it's deep. So you can naturally change the way that you feel just by the way you use your body. When some people talk, they talk energetically. Other people, the odd university university lecture, this here is our language patterns. Is he excited about life and really wants to teach you anything? Okay. No offense to university lecturers if there are any. Okay. So habitual physiology. The next thing's your focus. If you think about the brain like Google, what are you searching for? Some people naturally search for negative things. Depressed people, what do they look for?
Negative.
Negative things. What do they search for in their Google search engine?
Bad things.
Bad things.
More bad things about a topic.
Yeah.
Subject.
Yep. What about people who say, I don't want to be broke, 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 I don't want to be broke. What's the key word? Broke.
Keywords.
Yeah. What do you think they see? Yeah, broke. The reason why they can't make money. Okay. Some people, I don't want to be fat, I don't want to be fat, I don't want to be fat. What's the key word?
I've been saying that for months. Can you stop this up?
Yep. Keyword search. What about if it was, I want to be happy, vital, and energetic? I want to be happy, vital, energetic.
Yeah, you can do that with being fat as well.
Not really.
You can be fat happy.
You can be fat but not vital and energetic. You may have energy, but then compared to who? If you hang out with all your mates at Macca's, then you're comparing yourself to them. If you compare yourself to people of less or lesser standard or less standard that they're living life, then you're always yeah.
We all feel good after watching Jerry Springer.
Exactly right. Yeah, it is.
I feel sorry for humanity.
But what about Big Brother, shows like that where people sit there and they judge other people and they go, oh, that guy's an idiot, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do this. Well, why not, instead of watching the television, just put a mirror there and look into it? Then you can change things. But most people sit behind a box and say, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, because it makes them feel better. Always compare yourself to people who are at a higher standard. So with that, if you're looking for energy, go find the most energetic people and go hang around them. And then see how your energy feels. Okay? Okay, focus. That's the next one. Then the last ones are language patterns. Okay, the language patterns are important. There's over 4,000 words to describe emotions in the English dictionary. The average person uses 12 and 90% of them are negative. How's your week? Yeah, crappy. What's been happening? Oh, just all this shit at work. You know, you can hear it, it's just a downhill spiral. People who are normally positive have a lot of ways of describing their emotions. They have a lot of language for positive emotions. I went through this with client the other day. I met her at a seminar. Now, I don't take on a lot of one-on-one clients anymore because I prefer to do seminars and events because I get to help more people and I get out there more. For her, I met her at this seminar, did it on a Wednesday night. She came up to me afterwards and said, Mick, I need your help. I've got fibromyalgia, I've got chronic fatigue, I've had a whole heap of health issues, I was in a car accident, I'm in pain every day. Like my life's just pain. I went, oh, okay, cool. I can't help you because I created a barrier. And for weeks, she just messaged me on Facebook. I need your help, I need your help, no one can help, doctors aren't helping, physios aren't helping, and I went, all right, cool. If no one's helping, I'll help, and let's see what we can do. I won't use that one, let's use that one. By the second session, if you go to the, MojoMaster TV, there's a testimonial from her, Deborah. Okay, after 2 sessions, massive changes. I said, what does it mean to have pain? Like, how do you describe pain? She said, well, what do you mean? That's just stupid. Pain's pain. And she gave me this this generalized thing, like pain's all the same. And I said, well, no, it's not. My brother-in-law rides motocross bikes. For him, like, pain is getting your leg ripped off, then that's pain. For him, like, I see him and he's got like blood pouring out the back of his arm and he's like, oh, it's just a graze. Like, just a graze. He stacks a motorbike at like 80 or 90 kilometers an hour on gravel and it's just a graze. Okay? So I explained all this stuff to her and I said, right, tell me your vocabulary. Like, you tell me that you have a headache every day. What is it? Is a headache pain? And she said, yeah, headache's pain. And I said, well, what else is pain? She said, well, my back, like in here, that's painful. And I'm like, well, what is that? What does it mean? And she's like, well, it's all tight. And so I said, okay, cool, tight's pain, headache's pain. What else is pain? And she said, well, sometimes I get this stabbing. That's pain too. And she had all these ways of describing pain, but she put it under the general banner. And I said, cool, what's the most agonizing thing that's ever happened? Like, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened, the most painful thing? And she said, well, childbirth. And I said, cool. What would you call that? That's a level 10. And she said, excruciating.
Have you had?
No. First,
Okay.
she's looking forward to grade 10.
Cool, I shouldn't have used this example then.
No, she's sweet with it.
Okay, go on.
But she said excruciating, and I said, well, what's like the thing that's just a little bit niggly, but it's nothing too bad? What would you call that? And she's like, oh, well, some mornings I wake up and my back's like a bit achy. And I said, cool, so we'll put achy down here. If that's how you spell it. So achy. Then I said, okay, cool, well, what's a level 9? What's a level 8? And we went through this thing. And I said, you are not to use the word pain. You cannot use pain on here at all. And it was like, okay, so here was stiff, tight, yep, we can use that. Stabbing or sharp. What else? Keep yelling them out if you've got any.
Uncomfortable.
That's it, uncomfortable is down there, but we can just chuck it in.
Yeah.
Yep, what else? So anyway, said from now on, you are not to use the word pain, full stop. You are not to use the word pain. If you wake up in the morning and you're a 1 out of 10, you say, my back's achy. Or, I'm a bit stiff in my back and a bit stiff in my neck. Or some days she may be sore, like, my back's really sore. Or it's really uncomfortable. I did this, the next day I sent her a text message and I said, have you had any pain today? And you know what the first reply was? No. I said, cool, we just got rid of your pain. I said, tell me what's going on. She said, I'm a little bit stiff, but it's nothing major. If I said all of this is pain, she wakes up today and she's here like a level 7. And to her, that's the same as achy. Is excruciating the same as achy? That's definitely not. But because of her vocabulary, because of her language patterns, she just described all of that as just being one thing. It's just pain. So she was in constant pain. She said, for 10 years I've had pain. Okay, so it's the first time in 10 years that she hasn't had pain, just because I changed her vocabulary. It was that simple. So the language we use determines how we feel. Some people just don't have lots of ways of describing their emotions. Some people have lots. If you listen to my language, it's very intense. I'm an intense guy. I have like lots of positive emotions. How are you feeling? I'm awesome. Things are going great. I'm kicking ass. So there's lots of positive language patterns. Some people just have really bad language patterns. If you have really bad language patterns and you're not an emotional character, or you're using a lot of negative emotions, listen to how other people talk, positive people, and write down what they say. Write down how they describe their emotions. So someone might come along and say, I've had a kick-ass week, and you go, I like that. I'll write that down. And then for the next day, just use it. How you been? Yeah, kick ass. Okay? It doesn't matter, but after a while, you start myelinating it and you just naturally use it. Does that make sense? Cool. Beliefs, just quickly, beliefs can change our mindset as well. Here's one here, I'm fat, it's a negative belief. Then from there, that's the trunk of the tree. Here you've got all the roots. If I ask a client, why are you fat? They say, because I ate chocolate last night. Well, is that really true? Can you eat chocolate and not be fat? Yeah, of course you can. So it's just a reason. And then they say, okay, so these are the reasons or justifications of that belief. Well, because ages ago, my partner left me and I think he left me because he thought I was fat. That's another reason. Why else? Well, because I had an injury and I can't exercise, that means I'm fat. And so the more roots you put in, the deeper that belief sinks. It's harder to change. That's why you've got to use myelination to force it out the other way. Beliefs are really, really cool, especially when you listen to people why they can't do things. It's normally belief. The last thing I want to quickly get on are values, because values sort of, well, they determine why we do what we do. Here we've got one, not being judged, family, not being hurt. What this is if you look at values, values are really the reason why we exist, or what it takes to survive in life. So some people believe that if I've got family, then I can survive in life. Some people believe if I've got money, then I can survive in life. Some people say if I'm not judged, then I can survive in life. It depends on how we base these values, but normally they're unconscious. Not being judged, family, not being hurt, happiness, money, relationships, health. Can anyone see a self-sabotage pattern in there? And this is exactly what self-sabotage is.
Because if you don't have those things, you're just stuffed.
You can. There's both moving away froms and moving towards, which means some people will run away. Like not being judged is a moving away from. I'll do anything to not be judged, especially if it's a number one emotion, and it's easy to happen.
Yeah.
But here, look at not being hurt and relationships. So someone says, I value number 3 as not being hurt, but I want a relationship. I don't want to be hurt, but I want a relationship. And so all of a sudden they get into relationships, things start becoming serious, and they go, whoa, self-sabotage it. Let's do something crazy because I don't want to be hurt.
I'm sorry, this just sounds so familiar. This is incredible.
Thanks, guys.
Comfortable versus health. Comfortable versus health. I want to be comfortable, but I want to be healthy. I want to be comfortable, I want to be healthy. I want to be comfortable, I want to be healthy. All of a sudden you start exercising for a couple of weeks. It's too hard, I want to be comfortable. I want to stay in bed over night time. It's too cold, it's too hard, and so you go back to the value that's above. Values are really, really important to change. If anyone wants to know more about this stuff, I create a 12-week audio program that's exactly on all this. I go through every area of life, how to find your purpose, the health and vitality. There's like an hour-and-a-half section on that with all the workbooks and everything for it. Then there's stuff on your mindset, how to find out your values, how to smash your own beliefs. Then I go into time management. It goes right through the pyramid. So if you want to have a look at any of that stuff, just shoot me a message, because online I think it's about $300 if you want to buy it. I can do it cheap because you'll work for Jamie. Jamie's mates. Okay. All right, cool. So, are you ready to take your life to the next level? Because if you are, start implementing these things today. Don't wait. Even if you go back to your desk, write down 1 or 2 things that you can do today that's going to increase your energy. Don't wait for tomorrow. It may just be something as simple as drinking water. It's already a start. You're heading in the right direction. If you're waiting for tomorrow, tomorrow never comes, because the only time that you're living is right this instant. So take advantage of it. Just write down 2 things. 2 things to create a massive change. And the more you do it, the more you'll find that you naturally notice those patterns, whether they're health patterns or not. The more you start feeling better, the more you want to feel better. So you'll keep going in the right direction. The more energy you have, the more you want. And you'll keep heading in the right direction. All right, I'll wrap it up, because if not, I'll get hate mail from 21C. Cool. If there's...
Painted, is that like a Achilles or something?
No, these are from Dr. Emoto. Has anyone heard of Dr. Emoto? He did studies on water. I actually did a whole seminar a little while ago on Dr. Emoto's stuff. Phenomenal. And what he showed is that you can imprint your thoughts and beliefs onto water. And what he did was he worked with Fujikawa Dam. He was a researcher. And in Fujikawa Dam, I think it was Fujikawa, it was toxic water. They were dumping all these chemicals in China. I think it was China or Japan. They're dumping all these chemicals and the water was dead. Nothing would grow in it, no algae, no fish, nothing. So it was dead water. Couldn't use it, couldn't drink it. And so what he did is he took water samples and put them in the freezer. And in the freezer, they looked like blobs on the plate, so they had no structure. Then all of a sudden he went to like Christian churches and he said, can you pray for this? Pray for love on the water. Then he'd go to Buddhist temples and he'd say, pray for love. Hindu temples, pray for love, or whatever they were. So he went to all these different religions and said, pray for love. And every water molecule changed its structure to be a beautiful crystal. Okay?
I was hearing something about that. I was seeing a documentary or something about that.
Yeah, but they were all different. Every crystal was different. Then he did cool stuff, like he would play death metal music to the water. And the other one he would play like some sort of symphony orchestra or whatever it was. And the death metal music, all the water particles would separate and they become all these unstructured bubbles. They looked disgusting. It looked like someone pretty much shat on a disc, okay? But it was just one single water drop. Then on the other one, when they'd play the symphony orchestra, he could take it from a bubble or nothing and it would come out like a snowflake, a beautiful snowflake. And he's got a whole book which is just pictures of these different snowflakes and how the structure of them was. And he did other things as well. I think he also did one with rice where he wrote love. So he boiled rice and he wrote love, hate, ignore. The one with love on it, grew like this white mold, which was supposedly like a positive mold or a good bacteria was growing in it. The one with hate on it grew black mold, like disgusting, stinky. And he said when you open the lid, it was just disgusting. The other one, where it had ignore, grew this like horrible stuff. Apparently it was like some crazy ass bacteria, okay? And that's because if you have a look at the flow of energy, if you want to block the flow of energy, especially negative energy, just ignore it. Because if you ignore someone, I think Adolf Hitler, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think Adolf Hitler did studies during the war where he would get children and he would abuse a group of them, or the research that abuse a group of kids, they would love a group of kids and then they would ignore a group of kids. When you ignore them, they pretty much shut down their learning completely. Whereas even if you're aggressive to someone or you're returning negative energy, they still have energy, so they'll still grow and they'll still fire it back off. So yeah, that's the...
That was Joseph Mengele.
Oh, was it?
Which was one of the physicians in the Nazi army.
Oh, there you go.
Fucked up bloke, but yeah.
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 They did lots of crazy studies, but there's always a positive that comes out of a negative as well. I mean, if you look at yin and yang cycle, everything's both positive and negative at the same time. That's why when people say I'm depressed all the time, I say, well, what aren't you saying? I'm happy 99% of the time. It doesn't mean that fucked up shit doesn't go on in the world. It just means that I just don't see it because I'm in a different cycle. But when I do see it, I flip it back quick. Some people naturally stay in a negative state for way too long, but the positive's right there next to them, they're just not looking for it.
A lot of the times that's because people don't want to look for it. People are happy being in a negative state because
Serves their
Yeah.
insignificance.
Yeah, but it forms their identity. That's why I was working with some guys from like AA and drug rehab, and these are two empowering questions that I created. I was just sitting there one night and I use these questions for myself probably every day. Is it empowering and is it working? And if you ask those questions consistently, you'll just keep flowing through life. So is it working? Is it empowering? At first, as a drug addict, who has the power? No, the drugs. The drugs.
Oh.
Because I've got to have the drugs. Then they go into rehab. Who has the power? The rehab centre. Okay, so that's a good thing. At first, you've got to admit that there's a problem. So I'm Michael, I'm an alcoholic. Yes, it's a good thing. It's empowering for them because they need to know that there's a problem. Then they go into rehab. Rehab has their power. Then they get out of rehab. They go to a 12-step process. Cool. They go to a 12-step process. And then in the 12-step process, they stand up and they say, hi, I'm Michael, I'm an alcoholic. Hi, I'm Michael, I'm an alcoholic. What are they just doing now? They're reinforcing a belief. Then that's why people say, oh yeah, but you know, I can't even go to a pub or I don't want to smell beer because I'll relapse. That's only what they've been told, but they've forced it into themselves. I'm Michael, I'm an alcoholic. It's not a good thing. When clients come to me, I say, hi, I'm Michael. Sometimes I drink too much. Hi, I'm Michael. Sometimes I drink too much. That's completely different.
Really?
Completely different. Because if you drink too much, the next thing you want to do is not drink as much because you know that it's stupid.
it's all good theory.
But yeah, it's just...
true because it reinforces a different pattern. Because I mean, they're both true. Whatever you make to be true is true.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
Is it empowering? Is it working? That's why. Is it empowering to be in rehab? Yes. Not if you're in there for 30 years, it's not. When you get out and you go to a 12-step process, is it empowering? Is it working? Yes. What about when you're in AA for 30 years? I met a guy, I won't mention any names, but this guy was extremely successful business person and he'd been, I think it was like 30 or 50 years he's been in AA. And when he told me, I was having a coffee with him, I almost fell out of my fucking chair. I was like, are you serious? You're doing the same shit over and over and over again. Why? Like, I would hate to know that 3 times a week I'm forced to go and do something because if I don't, there's a chance of relapsing.
It wasn't Kerry Packer.
It wasn't, but I'm not going to say. But in that, it's not empowering anymore and it's not working. Find a better strategy, find a better way. Keep asking the question over and over again, you'll keep driving through life. Okay, there's a time and a place for everything, and the other one was there's a little bit of truth in everything, just look for the truth. Okay, any other questions?
What if, like you said, you avoid family members that are negative, but what if you can't avoid them? Like you do that?
Okay.
No, you can. I avoid all of them, they're 300 k's away.
Yeah. If it's because of money, then ask a better money question so that you can create more money and you can get out of home. Okay?
It's more like a spouse.
Ah.
Too hard.
Is it empowering? Is it working?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's not get that on camera. Okay. But again, who you hang around is who you become. Okay? And Napoleon Hill said that your 5 closest friends will influence pretty much your earning. It's exactly the same. What do you think it's like when a mum says, I want to lose weight, but all the other mums meet at McDonald's every Tuesday and she wants to fit into a group? It just doesn't work. So it's time to create a new group. What I do is I have meetup dinners like every 2 months. And in those meetup dinners, I invite everybody. So I just put it out on Facebook. Anyone who wants to come along, comes along. And the cool thing is sometimes I have like a guy who has a $60 million property portfolio sitting right next to an ex-drug addict. And then they both get talking and the guy with all the money says, shit, I'm lucky because I didn't have to go through what he's been through. And then the other guy says, holy crap, he's got problems in his life as well. Because we all do. We've all got a story of problems and people who've hurt us in the past and we've all overcome obstacles. Sitting next to them talking, then they both realise they're the same. So the drug addict realises he can make money as well, or he can have health, or he can have all this stuff, and the other guy says, well, I'm thankful, I'm lucky that I haven't been through those things as well. So it puts a whole heap of group of people together, and after a while they start hanging out, they call each other, hey, do you want to catch up for a coffee? Now there's a brand new friendship circle of people who want to be inspired and who want to grow, so they don't have to go and hang out with their crappy peer groups and their bad circles of influence anymore. Yeah.
What's your website? That's my last one.
Okay. It's themojomaster.com.au is my website. That's my website. The Facebook is The MojoMaster Coach. Only because Facebook's locked in The MojoMaster as being my personal one. And I can't change it. So
MojoMaster Coach.
Yep.
TheMojoMaster.com.au.
Yep.
You in Melbourne?
Adelaide. I'm in Melbourne a lot anyway. But yeah, if anyone wants to have coffee, I'm still here the next couple of days. I'm always happy to catch up with people, have a chat. I'm here for another couple of days. So if you did want those audio programs, let me know. I've got a couple in my bag that are the final ones because I did a seminar yesterday and I got rid of a whole heap. If you do want any, and I'll just give them to you for like 60 or 70% off of what I've been selling for everyone else as well. So yeah, if there's any questions, shoot them through. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Cool.
Really good.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to go way over time.
Okay, now let's do some work. We need to get some stuff.
Cool.